Warning, the following program contains sensitive material that may be unsettling to some audiences. The Pedantic Pedestrians are not responsible for any injuries or paranormal activity that may occur during the viewing of this program, including, and not limited to, whiplash, bipolar disorder, a sprained ankle, or demonic possession. Viewer discretion is advised.
Two guns. Do you want to, encourage people to suspect those? So funny, Shad.
When you see people laughing. Like, pause it. What did he say? Whenever it sounds like he said.
Live? Okay,
I don't
who's in the
believe
chat? We got Bill Hicks, we got Nicholas Rosa, we got that tubby dude. But
Tubby
what do you guys
dude.
think of all the tariff ideas? Do you think Trump's saving the economy?
Yeah, I'm
Doing
tired.
more
The
of that.
biggest economy ever.
Now, do you think he's really when you look at all this data, statistics from the World Trade Foundation, our federal central bank and everything, and they show that inflation's going up, that things are going in the opposite direction. Is that all fake news? Is that all conspiracy? All these federal organizations that are under the Trump administration that are showing this, they're all just conspiring against the head of the executive branch of our federal government.
Well, look, I'll tell you this as an uninformed dummy. I can't point out to one particular product, that's a lot of alliteration, that I've bought in recent months. It's like, damn, that price is going up. But it seems like, I used to make $100 go a lot fucking further at the grocery store. I'll tell you that.
Why
much.
don't you just make more money?
That's a good point.
Yeah. Well, if you just spent money on a higher education, there you go.
All right.
Oh,
So
yeah, but the
speaking
Trump
of
cards
which,
don't like higher education.
that's a good point to point this out here in the chat. I'll drop a link. We have a StreamLabs. You can donate to it. If you'd like to contribute to my college tuition.
Oh, don't lie. Everyone knows that colleges are just indoctrination centers. Education is bad.
Sounds
You wanna
like
be
the
like,
liberal propaganda.
Well, you want to be like all the Trump supporters, where they clearly do lots of homework. They definitely read on a
Lots of
regular
thinking.
basis and so forth. They live in their toothless one hick town, but hey, at least they're not indoctrinated. They don't listen to mainstream media. They listen to Ben Shapiro and Newsmax.
President Trump announcing that the White House will impose a 100% tariff on Chinese imports, and it will go into effect it'll go into effect on November 1st. Trump claiming the Chinese forced his hand, saying that these new tariffs come in response to China's aggressive position on trade. So for more on this, I want to bring in ABC's Christian Cordero. And Christian,
So
what do we know?
He's pissing off China and India with these tariffs, and it definitely is more advantageous to keep India closer to the US than to China. But now they've really been getting along better than ever before in the last few decades because of the enemy of my enemy, which is Trump. And when it comes to the global economy, India and China are really important because I don't know, I believe 1/4 of the world's population lives in those two countries. So when it comes to the global workforce, I'm pretty sure a lot of it is dependent on those regions. But hey, it makes sense to have 100% tariffs on those two countries. I forget what it is for India, but it's still fairly high. But it's not just the fact that it raises the prices of different goods. It also isn't really that great when it comes to diplomacy. So when the world already doesn't really see America in the most positive sort of light, I don't think Trump's really doing a better job improving our relationship with the other nations of the globe. But
They
hey,
love us.
they're all.
They want to be us.
Go ahead.
They're jealous, John. They wish they could impose
Oh.
fat tariffs on other nations and have them pay them. They're just mad that we're better than them, and eventually they'll learn to be like us and put tariffs on us.
Well, the problem is that if they're outside of America, that means that they're foreigners, they're immigrants, they're aliens, they're the others. So they're not us. So because they fall outside of this set of borders, they don't
Better be really
matter.
biased against them then.
Trump
or
really
else you're a
liked
libtard.
Trump really liked Kim Jong-un. Didn't he say Kim Jong-un was a sweet boy? And
Really like him. He reminds me of myself.
he seems to like the idea of building walls around your country and like secluding your country from the rest of the globe, the global economy. So clearly that works out very well for North Korea. So it probably like if we become more like secluded, then clearly it's gonna really improve things within our nation.
About these tariffs?
Well, the trade war between the U.S. and China, Alex, of course, has been going on for many months now. It was one of the focal points of the administration when it came to changing the tariff policies, the trade policies in the U.S. But most recently, just yesterday, China announced new restrictions on rare earth minerals, and that really kind of set the ball in motion as to what has happened in the past day or so. We saw President Trump criticize that, threaten tariffs, and immediately saw stocks act accordingly, which we'll get to in a minute. But really, when it comes to the announcement itself, imposed on allegedly November 1st, as far as the president has announced today, he says that it is in response to China's extraordinarily aggressive position on trade related to export controls, and said that China sent letters to around the world threatening to impose export controls on each and every element of production having to do with rare earths. Rare earth minerals are used for things like semiconductors, computer-related resources. And he also, interestingly enough, said that there's no way China should be
Rare earth metals. Now, I was having a discussion about this earlier. So it's cobalt and silicon. Now, silicon's like a semiconductor. It's a metalloid. And but cobalt and silicon, very important because they're used in microchips. And cobalt, there's a fairly limited supply of that on the planet, and a large amount of it comes from the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Where it is mined by children.
Yes, slave labor.
Yeah.
But China has a very notable interest in that specific part of the globe. They're going in, building roads for those people, building bridges, trying to help them out, because clearly it's for altruistic reasons. But do you think maybe China is trying to develop some kind of stronghold in that part of the world using more nefarious means? Because they do have access to some pretty important minerals that we need for our phones.
If not the Chinese government, then the aristocrats in those countries will certainly want it, because didn't we have Elon Musk trying to lobby our government to do the same thing?
Well, I mean, at this point, it's just our toasters have processed microchips in them.
Yeah.
So I don't know. How are we going to have... Now we're going to have to go back to the good old days where the only notable appliance in your home that had any level of of an OS or embedded operating system was your Xbox. Now it's you won't have your smart vacuum and your smart toaster.
allowed to hold the world, quote unquote, captive, which critics note that is essentially what President Trump has been doing with a lot of the upheaval around trade policy here.
Pause.
So much to be seen.
Shout out to MAGA Furry in the chat. You're a rare breed, dude. Shout
MAGA Furry.
What's
There
up
we go.
with you?
Okay, Bantam, I
With
like
you.
furries. Furry and anime.
Dude,
Those
Furry?
two things.
That's worse than MAGA, dude.
the last
Yes.
time they were here, they had furry spelt wrong. They had furry spelt with one R, so it was
MAGA Fury.
Yeah,
that's even better. That would be a better name.
I do agree.
All right, no, yeah.
Alex,
Right.
as far as what happens next, but the truce that we've had with China is set to expire in less than a month. The two leaders were set to talk in a couple of weeks in South Korea, and that seems to be in limbo.
So the world's most central currency is the US dollar. So if this plummets, it won't just affect America. It's going to affect the entire fucking planet and the value of pretty much all currencies globally. Because they're the US dollar is such an integral part of just our global economy, it's going to cause most of the world's currencies to tank and plummet in their value. And it's most likely not going to improve on inflation. It's going to make inflation significantly worse, not just in America, but globally. And then you have that compounded issue of this issue getting worse makes this other problem worse, which makes the inflation even worse, which makes the value of the currency even worse.
So while every single fucking company that tries to sell you all your fucking beanie weenies and bullshit, they're going to try to squeeze more pennies out of you while those pennies decrease in value.
But who uses pennies anymore? Dirt.
Well, it's part of it, dude. It's all a decimal till a lot of decimals make a dollar.
Well, you know what? Maybe that's how America can turn its economy around. No one likes pennies. Just like
dude, everybody turn in the dude.
Well, they're used for a lot of semiconductors and stuff. Like copper's used in a lot of electronics.
We have like a mass collection of pennies, like, you know, whatever, give every penny you got. Maybe you get some compensation on the spot, you know, like $20 per pound or whatever the fuck, however, you know, bring all the pennies you want. We melt that shit into copper. We take all those pennies and take the value of them, and we just distribute that to everyone as a stimulus. Why not? But, well, why aren't people thinking of shit like this? Again, maybe that's stupid. Maybe the math doesn't check out there.
You're retarded.
Do something with them. Up. If you're going to stop making pennies, do something with all the fucking pennies we got, John.
Let's build a penny mansion.
Well, it costs like 1.8 pennies to print a penny. So pennies are more expensive, or it's more expensive to make them than it is than their actual value.
There's no modern.
So
there's no copper in modern pennies. That's even worse. We'll take all the old pennies and melt those down, and I guess maybe you get like sympathy money. We can look. It's a whole job creation thing. Some FDR New Deal shit. We'll pay someone to sort the pennies from the old to the new. You know,
just like people can, I don't know, modify their their ammo for their shotguns, make the coin buck like shots. When society collapses and it goes full Mad Max, can just use it for hunting. That's why you hoard the pennies.
We got to delete this whole channel, John. I'm going to run for president. I don't want anything I said on here used against me.
You're retarded.
After President Trump's threat to China tonight, a 100% tariff on Chinese imports. What the president is furious about. The Dow closing down 878 points, the Nasdaq down 820, the S&P 500 down 182 points. What this fight is about. Here's Rachel Scott.
Tonight, just minutes after the markets close, President Trump reigniting the trade war with China, imposing an additional 100% tariff on Chinese imports on top of the 30% that was already in place.
They hit the world with something that really is not anything that people are going to...
Okay, so James Arnold says corporate media is totally trash. I agree, mostly. So we pretty much use it on our stream for commentary. Now, I think that any sort of journalistic media, you should take with a grain of salt. And if you want to make the argument that, hey, you don't just believe what the mainstream media tells you, you go that extra step beyond the mainstream media, then you should be getting your information from academic sources. You should be getting it from universities, think tanks, other types of research centers. But what percentage of people do you think are going to go to like some peer-reviewed search engine and actually read through those published studies that are like PDF documents that are 30 pages in length? I highly doubt anyone's doing that. And I love it when people want to claim that it's like, yeah, believe whatever the media tells you, but then it's just, where are they getting their information from? I'm pretty sure they're still getting it from some journalistic source.
And it's it was shocking.
Stocks tanking after the...
And the thing is, with journalistic sources, they're what's known as a secondary source. Because if we're talking about economics, journalists are not economists. If you're talking about some legal issue, journalists are not lawyers. If you're talking about climate change and stuff, journalists are not meteorologists. So if you really want to go that extra step, you need to be getting your information from the economists, the lawyers, the meteorologists. You shouldn't be getting your information exclusively from secondary sources.
Well, and that's why a good journalist will defer to experts on pretty much any topic that they're covering, because, you know, that like a journalist, you know, and a lot of them work in other fields before becoming journalists. Are you guys hearing me okay? Because I've got okay. But yeah, when it comes to certain subjects, you really can't just some journalists just go to Twitter and report what they find on Twitter nowadays, and that can be
that's
really
what I do before the
damaging.
streams.
Yeah,
No, I
and
don't
the
use
sad
Twitter.
thing is, the sad thing is, some people are just getting their news from Twitter, so it's just a loop of people getting their information from Twitter.
And then Twitter getting its information from AI, where AI then gets the information from Twitter, and then you got the AI slop loop. But I think now would be a good time, like the dumb fuck comment of the week. So last week when we streamed, look, Shep, I saw a game controller in your hand. Okay, never mind. I'm like, are you fucking playing video games while we're streaming?
I can if you want.
No. But do you want to read this, Dirt? It's on the screen.
You don't know how to military works. I guess he's never heard of guerrilla warfare.
Okay, so Dirt wasn't here for that stream. You can blame me for that. I forgot to message him. But here, do you know what we were talking about?
Probably guerrilla warfare.
No, we were discussing China, and Trump wanted to reclaim a base in Afghanistan. And then people in the chat were talking about the big threat of China taking over the planet. And I pretty much mentioned that it is just an inflated sort of threat. I talked about how, like, India, Japan, their militaries are, like, almost on par with China. And the logic is China is still, like, going to be able to easily just annex the entire globe, because you don't know how guerrilla warfare works. So China's going to use guerrilla warfare to take over the planet. But this guy knows how military works.
He knows how to military works.
Yeah. Now
he's played a lot of Command and Conquer, so he knows all about it.
Don't give him too much credit. He's not playing games like Civ or Command and Conquer. He's probably like one of the COD tards. Call of Duty.
Right. This game involves clicking on stuff and like giving commands, so it's too complicated.
Not that. It gets better.
There's more, but
Okay.
wait, there's more.
We pointed out his shitty like grammar syntax, and I pointed out how it's funny how they know their shit, but yet they only know how to type in fragments, when none of the fragments that they post can ever just be clean or devoid of like certain grammatical errors. So do you want to read what he has to say here?
Siri doesn't know how to spell check. It works as well as you do. Huh? And then Supergirl's BF took the time to, correct him and say it's guerrilla warfare. It's a Hispanic word.
Gonorrhea warfare.
Gonorrhea warfare. Who types anymore? I doubt it. Go back to the other messages.
Well, wait. So there's one more.
Oh, there's more. Send these three, you guys. They could spell check everybody's spelling. LOL.
Yeah, only fucking losers care about spelling. Now, one thing we pointed out is that he mentions like who types anymore. So when you look at all the data that shows that rates of illiteracy are climbing, and if you look at our schools where educators will be like, hey, they'll just use these sort of text-to-speech programs, and it is just, they are proud of their stupidity. It is just, they know their shit, but yet, who types anymore? And they're acting like it's just, am I wrong? But something that's like a sentence in length, shouldn't it take seconds to type out? It would take longer to ask Siri to type it out for you.
I never use that kind of stuff. I don't.
I use it.
Siri and stuff like that. The closest thing I've used to it is I started using the AI thing recently, streams and stuff. Before that, I've never used any of those things.
Well, they're talking about text to speech.
The closest I'll get is the autofill thing, where it's like, the phone has figured out that I'm trying to type this, so I'll just press the button to finish it. That's
Yeah,
About
tab.
as far as I'll go. Yeah.
So we're still to the point where it's just you type in half of the sentence, and then usually AI is able to accurately predict, and you can just press tab and complete. But to them, it's just they probably don't even know what the tab key does.
So
where it is on the keyboard.
I'm going to present two realities to you. So as a person, I've used it where like, it's really only like if I'm at work and I have to text my boss or a coworker or Danny and I'm busy with my hands doing something, yeah, I'll tap that microphone and speak the text I need to send a text. But if you do that on a YouTube chat, if you press the microphone on the YouTube chat, it's gonna pause the video you're watching. So no, not most people are using their voice to text in a fucking YouTube chat.
Now, James Arnold in the chat says, could you function without hi every day? And they put a space between every day if they don't know it's a compound word and so forth. But
they're talking about me?
They're probably talking about Shab, but it's like Dirt likes to get
they're
high.
probably talking about me because I'm the one that took a dab with
I didn't see that you
right
took a
before
dab.
they said that.
Well,
so I'll give the answer of yes because like I don't know if you guys remember the last time when I was doing a Tetris Effect tournament, but when I'm getting ready to compete in a tournament for money, I actually take long breaks from smoking weed because I feel like I just play better if I take a long break and just commit myself to practicing. But yeah, other than that, I don't really force myself not to, and I don't really give a shit if other people do.
And I don't smoke weed at all.
Well, how much money do you spend a year getting high, John? How much do your prescriptions cost? I know your medication gets you.
Well, I take it for seizures, but I don't do I don't smoke weed or anything like that. So I like my uppers, but is that high if you do some tweaking?
Do some tweaking.
Oh,
yes,
God.
it is, John.
There we go.
Do
Who's a
some
drug
tweaking.
addict?
Oh my God.
I don't know. You should try drugs out. And I mean, what isn't a drug? Isn't
Yeah,
oxygen
James.
a
What?
drug?
Wait, James, are you trying to say you can't afford drugs, bro? How much productivity is lost during drug binge? I mean, here's the thing, dude. You've been sold a lie if you think that every person who enjoys weed is a fucking sloth of a person and literally can hardly get out of bed. I mean, maybe you've never tried it. Or maybe you tried it once and you had a bad reaction. You said, "Oh, I can't believe people do this all the time." But that's fine. Everyone's brain reacts to it differently, James. Here, I'm not going to judge you, so try to reserve your own.
James, do you ever drink
Kimberly
alcohol?
is telling the truth, though. I do get high off Tetris.
But do you ever drink alcohol? Because lots of people do that. They'll use it as sort of a makeshift sort of sedative at the end of the day. And plus, what about highly processed food? So most people are overweight. So when people just eat junk food to get that sort of sugar high, I mean, how's that any different than smoking and giving yourself the risk of developing cancer? Yeah, so it's just caffeine. Why is caffeine okay? Why is it okay for people to drink large amounts of coffee with shots of espresso? So this is where it's just cognitive dissonance, and it's also just an appeal to authority or tradition where, hey, I was told when I was younger that there are these certain substances that you can consume that we've classified as drugs. So that automatically makes them evil and bad. But what about these other substances that people consume all the time that you weren't told are a type of drug? So that just magically makes them healthier or just magically makes them ethical.
And more people are dying from caffeine use, James, than marijuana use. And
I don't know if that's true.
You guys all look homeless.
It's true. Of course it's true. What do you mean?
Where did you get that from?
You don't think... Hold on.
Well, here's the thing, Cheb. It could be true, but you definitely should reference that first before you jump to that conclusion, because smoking
I have
weed
already
chemicals...
looked into this.
Okay.
And
maybe you're right.
But it's not like way up there, but there's people dying from caffeine. but you don't see people like them complaining about that. Have a great
Well,
night,
it's legal,
gentlemen.
though.
Adios.
Yeah,
Okay.
you made
You
such
too.
a good argument. Good job.
They schooled us.
Showed us. Holy shit.
Yeah.
We're so dumb.
Well, here, let's get back on topic.
Massive increase in tariffs on China was coming, even saying the move could be potentially painful for Americans. By the end of the day, the Dow was down nearly 900 points, and the S&P marked its biggest drop since April. The new tariffs start November 1st. The president blasting China for new restrictions that would limit access to rare earth minerals, a market China dominates. Those minerals critical for making everything from cars to smartphones. The president calling it a sinister and hostile move, saying there's no way that China should be able to hold the world captive. President Trump now considering canceling an upcoming meeting with Chinese President Xi. That meeting with President Xi was just 2 weeks away, and big question tonight if it will happen, whether a long...
So people are supporting the Trump 2028 movement. And Xi has, even though China has had issues with authoritarianism and totalitarianism for a while, Xi has done something that's kind of unprecedented since, like, you know, the Mao days, and you know what that is?
What?
He decided to not abide by the two-party limit and run for a third party. And Modi, do you know what Modi
You mean
decided to do?
two-term limit?
Yeah, the two-term limit.
Yeah.
Do you know what Modi also did?
No, you're gonna tell me.
He ran for a third term and decided to go against the two-term limit. So, seems like Trump, with people supporting that, his 2028 campaign, seems like he's following a pattern that other world leaders are following, where, I don't know, can you call Putin, like he keeps oscillating back and forth between president and prime minister, but can you really call Putin, like, an elected president or an elected prime minister? Is Modi really the prime minister? Is Xi Jinping really a president, or are they dictators? So it seems like Trump's taking us in that direction.
Longer-term trade deal can be reached with China, David.
We'll see if that meeting happens. Rachel, good to have you here in person.
And like so many of these announcements, the news came swift and in the form of a social media post. New 100% tariffs on Chinese imports.
My
will
mic
start
working
November
now?
1st. President
Yep.
Trump also plans
Sounds
to
like
impose
it.
export controls on
What's
any
going on? What's
I
going
was
on?
having mic issues.
Oh.
all critical software. And Trump says this is a response to China blindsiding him when it announced large-scale export controls of its own. The president accused China of trying to hold the world captive using its rare earth minerals. He added that he could roll back these things.
Okay, so the United States also has a decent stockpile of earth minerals and so forth, or rare earth minerals, but there's lots of other resources that are very important, such as water. I mean, there is a global water shortage. It is just going to get worse and worse. I mean, there's this thing known as, climate change and pollution that's kind of making finding clean, drinkable water a lot harder. It's also resulting in like desertification and so forth. So we are getting to the point where water is becoming a much scarcer resource. So the United States, we got a decent amount of the world's like fresh water and stuff with like we got the Great Lakes and everything. So I mean, is it okay for us to hold our like store of fresh water hostage over other countries? Should we share? Is Trump gonna, or people that support Trump, are they gonna support like globalist movements to make sure that the entire world has like an even share of its limited like stores of fresh water? Yeah.
Why not?
All them other countries is libtard countries.
Well, the thing is, they'll probably make the argument of like, well, hey, it's in our country. We don't have to share it. It's in our borders. But then Trump's making this argument. They got stuff within their borders that we want. They got to share. And I'm sure they're consistent.
If tensions cool. Now, this comes at a time where there is a trade truce between the U.S. and China. Tariffs on Chinese imports are currently at 30%, down from 145% earlier this year. Now, Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping were set to meet in South Korea during the APEC forum later this month. That meeting is now in jeopardy. President Trump telling reporters on Friday, I don't know, we're going to have it. And this news is sparking fears that a trade war could reignite. The market's already reacting. The Dow Jones, the S&P 500, and that tech-heavy NASDAQ down big on Friday, Whit.
And Alex, President Trump also making an announcement about prescription drugs. What more can you tell us about that?
Yeah, Whit. So
Tylenol causes autism.
AstraZeneca, the largest drug maker in
Minecraft,
making a deal to offer deep discounts on the company's catalog of more than 3 dozen medications. Americans will get something called the most favored nation pricing, and AstraZeneca now joins Pfizer, who struck a similar deal last month. Patients will be able to buy their prescriptions directly through a new Trump RX website starting early next year, according to the White House.
Whoa.
Oh, look, he's putting his own name on it. Therefore,
Sorry, I just got reminded by something. You probably didn't pull anything about this. Did you see that the White House put out a statement claiming that Donald Trump took the COVID vaccine and he's in perfect health? Hey, oh yeah, he had the flu shot and a COVID booster. It was a booster, they said, right, Danny?
But
yeah, he's already taken the jab. And you know, Donald Trump, he's on the record saying the vaccine is good. I like the vaccine. He's taking it, and he just got a booster. So look, I'm telling you,
AI. Somebody hacked into all these government platforms and websites. Fake news. It's not information I like, so it must be fake. No bias on my end. But I mean, no, COVID causes autism and cancer and brainworms. Causes super AIDS. I mean, every bad thing imaginable that you can contract, that's what the vaccine gives you.
Rachel?
Yeah, so big questions if other drug makers will join. All right, Alex Brichet for us. Thank you.
President Trump is threatening 100% tariff.
Okay, here we go. Finally. Here's a network that only spreads truths, doesn't spread lies like all the other evil networks.
China following their move to tighten exports of rare earth minerals. For more, let's bring in the Heritage Foundation chief economist and former Labor Bureau Commissioner nominee, E.J. Antoni. E.J., thanks for joining us. This deal with China, how much leverage does the administration have? How much?
Oh, look at Dirt trying to act like he's not a virgin.
Yeah, you're totally right. That's exactly what that was.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, look, you can't say I'm a virgin now.
Nah.
I'm holding the hand. That's basically
the
basically third base
than they did several months ago. And the reason for that is we have managed to iron out a lot of trade deals with different countries and groups of countries like the EU, for example. And so the more of those ducks we get in a row, so to speak, the more leverage that gives us against China, because we already have these different trade agreements. It makes it easier to isolate China, and the more isolated they are again.
Okay, I understand. China's done. They're doing a lot of no-no stuff on the world stage. There's lots of stuff you don't want to condone them for. And yeah, a lot of fucked up stuff that you see their government do, like anyone guilty of political sort of dissent. They don't mind putting bullets in the back of their head, even in public, to make an example. And you also have their social credit scores, so they're going big brother when it comes to surveillance. But I don't know. I still find that maybe being more diplomatic, trying to find a way to get China to get along better, with other nations globally, by being a good example, and maybe that might have a trickle-down effect. Maybe that's better than alienating them, because if they're such an evil fascist regime, which they are to some extent, I don't think that's the best approach. I think at that point, you're kind of poking some rabbit tiger with a fucking stick, and I don't think that's a great way to bring stability to the globe. It's a great way to really instigate shit and make things even fucking worse.
And the more leverage we have, and the easier it is to get a trade deal that's not just on China's terms, but that's actually mutually beneficial.
Especially on rare earth, though. That is a pressure point for the U.S., isn't it?
Oh, certainly. But so rare earth is kind of a misnomer, because we think rare earth and we think they're just not, there's not a lot of this stuff in the world. In fact, there is. The difficulty with rare earths is that they're never found in concentrations. In other words, you have to process a tremendous amount of earth to find these trace minerals in there. So China's not the only game in town when it comes to rare earths.
Here's the thing. When it comes to replacing laborers with robots, I definitely think all the kid slaves harvesting these resources, that's a job that should be replaced with robots.
LS Nom.
Do you agree? Look at Dirt not even participating.
My bad. I got my lady here. We had a long day. Shut up.
What happened? Did you expect BLS to come out with a report?
Oh, somebody says in the chat, I'm for tariffs to teach other countries a lesson. Guess what? Our country is going to be taught a lesson as well. I don't think you understand how tariffs work, because I know I've gone over this time and time again, but just look into compounded tariffs and look into a timeline of tariffs just being used by the US and other countries. And there's a reason since the dawn of the industrial age, you've seen a very steady decline in them being used, because it's an antiquated sort of like practice or strategy used by different nation states that is counterproductive. It doesn't just fuck with other countries' economies, it also fucks with your own country's economy. So it's just going to result in greater inflation, and it already is resulting in greater inflation. But hey, when all the world's leading authorities, when it comes to, economics, when they're kind of raising all the alarms and they're all like, we're already starting to see the negative effects, all of that is just fake news or whatever.
Well, unfortunately, with a nomination like the LS commissioner, it does require Senate confirmation, and we literally just couldn't get meetings with senators, so there was no way to move the nomination forward. That being said, I'll still continue to advocate for the same reforms I've been advocating for 3 years now. But when it comes to the reports, we are going to get inflation.
Somebody said, "Damn, he's smoking heroin on live stream."
I read that at the same time you did.
He's doing opiates.
Yeah. Oh, it's called opium.
Opium, whatever.
Oh, it's marijuana, Rambo.
Oh.
We'll see you next hour. More.
Rambo, why are you slandering us? Why are you falsely accusing people of crimes they're not guilty
I
of,
thought you were going to go watch some adult entertainment, Rambo. You're wasting your time here.
Rambo, you haven't suffered some bullet wounds out in like Vietnam and Burma. Like, you don't want some opium to deal with the pain?
Yeah, he came in and the first thing he said was like, "I'd rather be watching porn than this." And it's like, you really
okay?
That doesn't really make any sense. It's like I'd rather watch.
It's to do it. It's that easy. Do it.
Well, not only that, it's like normally you would be like, "I'd rather watch fucking paint dry than this." That would normally be your dish. You wouldn't be like, "I'd rather
Obviously, that's more interesting.
I'd rather watch 3 bitches fucking fingering each other than this shit." Like, fuck.
That's a great time to come back.
An evil thing. So in the same way, there are people where drugs are like the most evil and sacrilege sort of thing imaginable. Are they the same way with like porn, where somehow like I'd rather be doing this one thing that's like really terrible and everything?
So much.
Hey, it's Will Kane.
Well,
Click here.
Porn's terrible for you because you're asexual. It's not like for the rest of us. Okay.
Well,
you're like,
I'm
ew,
talking,
that's unhygienic.
I can't
Why is she
understand
doing
why
that
other
with her
people
tongue?
like it.
Ewy.
So I'm not gonna act like it. Dude, look at you strawmanning me. I was just saying the fucking opposite.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I was just accusing them of doing that.
Don't hit me. Don't hit me.
Sorry, I misunderstood.
Congressman statement said that
Hibiscue likes
China
getting hit. We all know it.
Tariff war and isn't afraid of one. Trump has threatened to put a 100% tariff on Chinese imports. His threat came in response to
you should
an
trade your heroin
announcement by
addiction
China
for a
that it would
porn
tighten control
addiction.
of the exports of rare earths. Now, these rare earths are really
Well,
important.
I can't trade him when I have them both.
Okay, next story.
And we begin at 4 with President Donald Trump saying he will impose 100% tariffs on China. Good afternoon, I'm Annabelle Sedano.
And I'm Robert Kibasik.
Lemming says they will follow us anywhere. Thank you.
What's this man's name? Yeah, that Lemming would follow us straight off a cliff, dude.
Okay.
Thanks, man. Go back. I need to hear this man's name. I need to hear it from the beginning. The man on the left, he said his name. I need to hear it.
And we begin at 4 with President Donald Trump saying he will impose 100% tariffs on China. Good afternoon, I'm Annabelle Sedano.
And I'm Robert Kibasik. Michael and Colleen are off today.
Robert Kabalsak.
Response to moves by China to institute export controls. Currently, the United States.
So you needed us to rewind it.
You heard it, John. You
so
smiled.
juvenile.
You heard it. You heard it.
Don't make me put you in the corner.
Have tariffs on about 40%.
See, never mind. I agree with the people in the chat talking about, oh, marijuana is evil. It's clearly cooking your brains.
You heard it, John. His last name is Kabalsak.
A great
And this is
name.
Boris Palmer Dickerson joins us live with.
Here, one sec.
The people at home can rewind. They heard
going
it
to
too.
effect. Plus, what this could mean for the growing backlog of shipments. Karma.
Hey, Return to Jesus says, I kind of like China. I don't think there's a lot of Jesus in China.
As I stand here before you,
Not very fond of them around there.
They're all about that Confucianism and Taoism.
Not just people are coming and going. Of course, there are a lot of goods and products. And this announcement from the Trump administration, President Trump, can really have another effect on how we get items that come to us from overseas.
Now, you know what? I would think, I'm going on a derailment here regarding religion. I would think a lot of the Trump tards, they'd really love Mormonism, because Mormonism, they believe everything happened in America. It's a very American-centric religion.
To those tariffs that were announced, the president saying the U.S. will impose new tariffs on Chinese goods, the amount a whopping 100% increase in any current tariff on China. And that's going into effect November 1st, just before the height of that holiday shopping season. Trump says the U.S. will also put in place export controls on critical software. Now, this comes after China put in place new controls on their exports, particularly rare earth minerals, and those are vital to tech.
Okay, I'm getting tired of hearing about all the rare
Yeah, we
earth
get it.
mineral bullshit. We
get
get it.
Tariffs bad. Tariffs
Mainstream
bad.
media. Well, I was thinking with all the package shipping like stories and everything, we'd get something a little bit more non-China rare earth mineral related.
Tonight, thousands of international packages bound for the United States have found themselves.
Okay. It's only 2 minutes, 27 seconds. So, do you want to take a wager? Do you think they'll mention rare earth minerals in China, or at least China and the rare earth minerals?
No, this is exactly going to be why packages are bound in
Customs
limbo.
requirements are leading to big issues for companies like UPS. Solving those problems could end up including the destruction of your package. Here's NBC's Christy Smith.
I know it doesn't change every day, but it feels like it does.
Barry Gwynn owns San Francisco Scooter Center and has now spent months trying to figure out ways to navigate changing federal rules and regulations regarding.
See, Trump really cares about the middleman. So when everyone's sounding alarms before he was even elected into his second term, and he was talking about how tariffs, I'm really going to make sure that tariffs are utilized more than ever before in American history. And they're talking about how this is going to hurt the mom and pa sort of business owner the most. This is going to hurt the middleman more than anything. We're seeing the effects. It's pretty prophetic. It's like these experts gave their expert opinion, and it seems like the expert opinion is turning out to be a reality. Do you think it's just these are all actors? This is all CG right here, AI generated?
Imported goods.
How the new regulations and tariffs.
The deep state, the reptilians who hate Trump, they're just if you want to do your homework and get your information from a professional source, they've just infiltrated the internet, and anything that goes against what Trump is saying was just put there by the QAnon reptilian sort of cult.
Affect my business is it basically means that we can no longer order any parts from Europe, which is where we order 99% of the parts that we sell. And because I can no longer order those parts, I've got to try to find the parts locally here in the United States.
Businesses are not the only ones trying to navigate the new rules. Gwen tells us individual customers are facing challenges too.
Okay, Rambo. I read it too. In the chat. Maybe we got to give Rambo mod, because even though he's talking shit a bit, I don't know, I kind of like his jabs there.
For relatively cheap items. That's because a long-standing tariff exemption ended, meaning nearly everything coming in from other countries, no matter the price, faces a tariff, duty, and fee.
What does affect us now is that before we would our customers would order their own parts and then bring parts into us, and now they can no longer do that.
And the changes are having some big impacts.
Fuck you, Supergirl's BF. I have multiple beanies. Yeah. I actually do wash them.
His beanies smell like success.
He has one beanie for every day of the week.
Oh, what a cool
100%.
Packages getting caught up in the customs process.
The different type of clearance is required since the de minimis was eliminated. So it creates a lot more work. The entry that's required creates a lot more work.
The international shipping giant tells us in a statement that while 90% of packages clear customs on the first try, that the new regulations mean we are seeing many packages that are unable to clear customs due to missing or incomplete.
Oh, and a lot of this isn't even because of tariffs. A lot of this is because I don't know. We're laying off so many workers to save the taxpayers' money, but all these small businesses that need to rely on your postal service are now kind of fucked. It's really fucking over the middleman.
Complete information. UPS says it makes multiple attempts to get the information and get the package delivered.
So when we've covered this beforehand, him making cuts to all these different federal agencies that aren't your toady sort of brigade agencies, so ICE, the ATF, and everything, where their entire purpose is to have guns and break down people's doors and arrest them using brute force. He doesn't really like your agencies like the IRS or the DEA or not the DEA.
Those ones came
CDC.
after me.
Well, those are agencies where it requires somebody to, use some kind of education that's associated with some kind of like STEM degree to sit down and crunch numbers and so forth. It requires somebody to actually like use more like a more formal approach to bureaucracy to try to improve the well-being of the citizens that they serve. It's not people that use guns and handcuffs and force to do things. So here it's like, you know, our postal service, that needs to go because it's to waste taxpayer money, but it seems to be costing the taxpayers even more fucking money. And then when he was going to follow through with this, again, the experts came out and said that this is just going to make the cost of living even more expensive, and it's going to make it even harder for smaller business owners to stay afloat. But even though it's happening, and we're seeing the effects in real time, not fake news, confirmation bias for the win.
And if the customer doesn't respond in the package...
Third, if you're speaking, we can't hear you.
...be cleared for
Sorry,
delivery,
talking today.
disposing of the shipment is in line with U.S. Customs regulations. UPS says it's trying to bridge the gap of understanding with the new rules. Christy Smith, NBC Bay Area News.
Russia's ruling out diplomacy and pivoting to full-on war mode as President Trump considers sending Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine.
Wait. Didn't Trump say that, like, if he was president when, like, the Russia and Ukraine war started, that it never would have happened? He would have prevented it from happening? So, I mean, I don't know, like, isn't he the person that would be able to just convince Putin to just end things right away? Still going on. Doesn't seem like he's done a good job putting an end to it.
Wasn't Trump talking to... Wasn't it Fox News when shit was first kicking off in Ukraine back in 2022, that this specific episode of shit happening in Ukraine, what wasn't Trump talking about how this wouldn't be happening if I was still president?
Well, hey,
yeah, it never would have happened in the first place. He's gonna end it any day now.
If Trump says something, it's legit, because as we've seen, he usually follows through with his promises like 100% of the time, and all of his actions on paper, when you look at the hard data, show that it's had a positive effect. It's not like it's the exact opposite. It's not like when he implemented tariffs in his first term, they caused like more people to lose their jobs than there were people who gained said jobs. Like, you know, the steel industry created 1,000 more jobs, but tens of thousands of jobs were taken away because of it. And then it raised the cost of steel by a decent margin. So even though he's tried it before and it didn't work, and now he's doing it to a much more like exponential like extent, well, hey, it doesn't matter. The hard data doesn't matter. Everything's a lie unless it tells you what you want to hear.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson has more from Washington, D.C.
I get along very well with Putin, and I thought that would have been very disappointed in him.
That's a phrase the president has used more than a dozen times to criticize his Russian counterpart since their summit in Alaska on Wednesday.
Oh, look at them. Mommy and daddy are fighting.
The Kremlin said the feeling is mutual. A high-ranking Russian official claims the, quote, powerful momentum toward peace is now exhausted, signaling a shift away from diplomacy at a time when Putin has been touting Russian gains on the front line.
Currently, the strategic initiative remains entirely with the Russian Federation's armed forces.
The Ukrainians are increasingly taking the fight to Russia, targeting oil refineries ahead of the long Russian winter. On Wednesday, a Ukrainian attack killed at least 3 people in the Belgorod region. The Russians say this time target was a housing complex.
The damage is extensive.
Oh my god, those monsters. They destroyed a house that had white people in it.
The foundations, if the building cannot be
restored. If it was brown people from another country, then whatever.
Hey, hang on a second. I don't have like 10 girlfriends, Bill Hicks. That's a bit of an overestimation, but I get where you're going with that.
The new house.
Yeah, I'm the one with 10 girlfriends. Get it right.
Housing will be provided.
Yeah, there you go.
President Trump giving his strongest indication that he's considering sending intermediate-range Tomahawk cruise missiles to the Ukrainians so they can hit targets 1,500 miles away, putting Moscow within range. The president warns it's not a done deal yet.
I've sort of made a decision, pretty much, if you consider. Yeah, I think I want to find out what they...
Dude, Rambo, they're concerned. He says, dude, don't do this to yourself. You don't even open your eyes. Look at you.
Doing with them.
Shab.
You're nodding off, dude.
Shab's got the Steve Buscemi eyes. You gotta know how weed works.
We're doing a podcast?
Like, well, he's accusing him of heroin, and it's like, no. Look at his eyes. Heroin doesn't give you the Steve Buscemi eyes. Weed's what getting baked on weed. That's what gives you the Steve Buscemi eyes.
Asked the U.S. to clarify this potential Tomahawk deployment, calling
You're
it
destroying your life, bro.
In Washington, Lucas Tomlinson, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Another UC Berkeley professor has won the Nobel Prize, this time for chemistry. Omar Yaghi was awarded the prize.
Okay, whatever. He comes from one of those indoctrination centers known as universities.
Morning, along with 2 other scientists, for their work on developing a new type of molecular architecture. The Nobel Committee says the discovery led to huge breakthroughs in the field of chemistry. Yaghi was able to use that new molecular architecture to create...
Okay, is this one of those scenarios where it has nothing to do with the headline story, and they just shift it into a completely different story?
No, this totally has to do with
the Ukraine fight in Russia.
Well, I don't know if it's like, okay, the research has to do with the new technology, like the Tomahawk missile or whatever.
That's the thing. They want you to watch for a little bit and find out.
Yaghi talked about his accomplishment and how science can help bring the world together.
Science is a language that allows all people to talk to each other.
We got
that's one of the
clickbaited.
Oh, science is a language.
We got clickbaited into learning something that isn't war, John.
Bullshit.
Hey, I'll talk about stuff that isn't war.
It's something that might be positive. Fuck that bullshit.
There you go. That's a better way to put it.
Funding request laying out exactly how we will eliminate these threats to protect our homeland and complete the largest deportation operation in American history.
Well, it's not positive because, again, if we're talking about science, like scientific advancement, all these scientists, they're just people that prop up indoctrination center, universities. It's all bought and paid for.
Yeah, all these people that do research never seem to vindicate conservatives, so they're bad.
Yeah.
Immigration, keeping out those who try to enter the country illegally and deporting those who have already come in outside the rules. Whether one agrees
the problem is that they're here illegally. It's again, if they're so concerned with the taxpayers, wouldn't it make sense if you look at the president's sort of like agenda and you look at like out of all the issues they want to address while they're in office, what are the top priorities? Priority number 1, 2, 3, 4. So illegal immigration, when you had discussions with a bunch of conservatives and you point out the fact that it's just on average they commit less crimes than legal citizens and then or legal immigrants, and then immigrants that are here legally, they commit less crimes than Americans who are natural born citizens. Then on top of all that, it shows that all these economies, or all of these markets and industries that are centered around agriculture on the borders, like the border states, are heavily reliant on the sort of like illegal immigration. Now, you could say, hey, they're here illegally, but still, it's really not having much of a negative effect on the economy. And actually, there's more of a gain than there is like any sort of like detriment to the economy, but yet for some reason they're really concerned with it.
I gotta say, sorry, but Barney T. Cummins in the chat, he made a good point, John, and I hope you'll appreciate this. He said, "I love how his
name.
I love how his mocking voice is the same as his normal voice." Yeah.
Gotcha, Gene.
But that's funny because I mean, John doesn't have a problem with not a problem. You know, John's hard to read, so it's funny that you point that out in that way. But he also said, that he's never seen a bigger collection of absolute fucking neckbeards. Now, as far as bigger collection, I'm sure you've seen more in one place. But I want everyone to do a neck check. Everybody do a neck check, dude. I want to see a neck check.
Yeah.
How many neckbeards?
I definitely got some scruff on the neck, so
I want a neck check.
Oh, and I'm sure this guy doesn't look like a neckbeard at all. It's like most Americans are fat fucks, so I'm sure he's not one of the fat fuck Americans. And when you look
that's
at the
called a second chin beard, John.
Oh, yeah, clearly. And I'm sure he doesn't have any of the characteristics of being a neckbeard, such as like being an edgelord. Because it's not like, you know, people who like to suck the dick of somebody like Andrew Tate. Like they tend to be branded as the neckbeards, but yeah. There's no projection coming from his end.
His deportation
hang on a second, Gene. I gotta say, think about who you're looking at right now. You're looking at like the ultimate misogynist as a joke, obviously, but like I make sexist jokes all the fucking time. But for real, if you like Andrew Tate, you are a fucking loser, and you should do something to remove yourself from existence.
Oh, so you're not, according to your own self-assessment, Barney, but here's the thing, we'll actually show up on camera, unlike a lot of these Trump tards that hide behind keyboard. So it's kind of funny how they don't like to come out and show what their appearance is. So it's very easy when you're behind a keyboard to act like you don't fall within like the 90-something% of Americans, which are fat fucks. And if you're a conservative, statistically, you're much more likely to be a fat fuck than if you're not conservative. That's just statistics.
Happening on an historic scale, which raises the question of how best to do it. There's a lot of money involved.
Oh, this is big money at a high rate of return.
Most of the money is going to private companies who run the detention facilities.
What DHS does is it contracts with other entities, sometimes counties, and most often private companies, and those companies run the facilities instead.
There is nothing new
Good old capitalism when it comes to our prison system.
about private detention. The first modern federal contract dates to the mid-1980s under President Ronald Reagan. Corrections Corporation of America, today CoreCivic, helped pioneer the model.
Okay, so Kimberly's seen me in person, so I don't know. Kimberly, am I somebody who's like out of shape, who I'm someone who looks like I don't take care of myself?
You're thin from all the opium. Rambo's calling you out, dude.
I thought it was me that did
a former correctional officer, now leads CoreCivic, one of the largest private prison and detention operators in America.
A very first contract with then INS, now Immigrant.
Well, to be fair, most of these people that want to talk shit, I could guarantee you that if I had like a foot race with them, if I arm wrestled them, even if we played like a game of basketball, I probably could just dominate them because, again, I actually have decent cardio and I take care of myself.
Oh, you said one of Kimberly's favorite words.
Oh, what's that?
Dominate.
Cuts enforcement, but the value proposition is to bring private sector innovation, being very nimble, being very flexible, provide high quality solutions and outcomes at a very low cost to government.
Along with the ramp up in immigration enforcement has come more demand for CoreCivic's services. Not even a year
Damn, Kimberly, that was vicious.
It has deported more than 400,000 people, which comes at a big
What kind of
cost
love and
for the
thing did
government.
she have to say?
Earlier this year, Congress passed the one.
You're somebody who begs for
authorizing
ego
roughly one-
strokes and acts like an arrogant asshole on the internet, John.
Damn.
That's what she thinks about what kind of shape you're in, dude.
Yeah,
Oh,
fuck you,
shit.
Gene. You're in the shape of
Hey,
suck my
who
dick,
isn't
bitch.
who isn't arrogant on the internet?
He's not arrogant, Kimberly. He was seeking validation. You failed. You know, now he's now
I'm super buff, right, Kimberly?
$1 million for immigration.
Right? Oh, you felt my muscles, right, Kimberly? I'm like hecka strong.
Damn, now Super. Okay, I'm gonna have to ban
Right.
Supergirl's BF, and I'm gonna have to ban Kimberly.
Here, let me drop one of Kimberly's favorites here. Validate this dick. There we go.
Ooh,
We can
Rambo
move on.
is
You're
Turkish.
Well, maybe there's
I want to go to Istanbul. So, Rambo, if you're a fan, are you gonna hang out with us in Istanbul? I want to see all the cats and the dogs in Istanbul.
Yeah,
Istanbul.
Rambo. I'm glad you're here to joke with us, dude. And I imagine, I don't know how. I mean, I know in Turkey actually English is pretty prominent, so I don't know how much of a language barrier there really is. You seem to communicate well enough. But yeah, welcome.
I'm
welcome to the
guessing
show.
unless-
We like our international viewers.
And
They're usually more well educated and well spoken than our national viewers.
Yeah, like Imperial, who
with
hasn't been
$45
with
billion
us in a while.
Oh
Yeah, they
Where's
just. I
he
forgot.
at? He was so awesome.
I forgot about it. That guy. Yeah.
He abandoned us.
designated just for detention capacity expansion.
We need detention facilities. We need beds to put them in place so that they can have their due process before they return home.
Some 60,000 people are currently detained, with nearly 90% of them in private facilities owned or operated by companies like CoreCivic or Geo Group, its main competitor, and that's helping drive profits. According to CoreCivic's second quarter earnings figures, ICE contracts account for a majority of its revenue.
We don't get involved in policy, but obviously there's been a lot of discussion.
Do you think ICE needs all this funding? Do you think the job that they're supposed to perform is really that beneficial, that advantageous to our country as a whole? Do you think it's really going to help our economy? I don't know.
If there's a world where their purpose is justified, we don't live in it right now.
It's
that's my charitable way of putting it.
Where it's just they're pandering to, like the neckbeards, the World of Warcraft guy, like all your sort of Proud Boy, Andrew Tate, like sort of dick suckers, where they just want to have a gun, they just want to be some kind of toady, and that's what it is. He's creating his jackboot sort of militia. It is,
and he's preying on the insecurity of men who don't get laid.
Yeah, they're lowering the bar by a significant margin. Now it's like they lowered the age to 18. And it seems like, hey, let's get as many goons as possible and flood them into this agency. It's, do you think maybe it's going to become his Gestapo?
Yeah, remember when I was talking about how careful we tried to be about who we would and wouldn't hire when I worked security? It sounds like Trump is doing the opposite, where it's like, hey, are you an insecure beta cuck that got bullied growing up? Please join ICE and make up for it. You'll feel better, I promise.
So a few things make sense in the chat. So our friend, what's his nuts? Rambo. He being from Turkey, no wonder he doesn't like weed. He can't have weeds. That's like super illegal there. But he also said he could host 3 of us in Turkey, but don't bring heroin. Okay. Hold up
on the flight, Shab.
You can't go, Shabisky.
Hold up, he can only host 3 of us. So who can't you host? Who's not welcome? You got to let us know. Who's not welcome? I don't know.
No, it's Gene because he talks too much.
Who is it? Top left, bottom right. Me.
Pick me. Pick me.
Who can't come to Turkey? Who won't you allow? Who will not you tolerate?
Yeah, but all seriousness, Istanbul is one of the cities on my itinerary of cities to visit, so I can see myself visiting it in the next 3-4 years.
Yeah, he said cats are like gods there. I wonder, is that is there any truth to that? Or do they just have the control, or is there really some spiritual significance?
Well, that is the city does take care of all the cats and dogs. So it's not like they're a bunch of feral pests on the street corner, like a lot of cities where they're usually riddled with fleas and disease. So a lot of them are they're well groomed, well taken care of, and they're a big sort of tourist draw to the city.
Bill Hicks makes a good point. Gene should get his own lodging because he's the rich one.
But wait, he says every one of us. So does that mean every one of us are welcome, or none of us are welcome?
Every one of you is not welcome.
No, Kimberly, don't tell people I'm rich. I live in my mother's basement. Jesus.
And the election last year and this year about getting stronger enforcement on the southwest border and also doing a fair amount of interior enforcement.
I don't see her saying that. Were you referring to me?
We obviously didn't know what the outcome was going to be.
You know who he looks like? The dude that voices Homer. What is it, Simmons or?
Oh yeah.
He probably thought before. Bill said that, not Kimberly, Gene. About you.
There was an outcome on our national
election. Oh yeah. It was Bill Hicks that said Gene can afford his own lodging. I was like, good point. And if cats are gods in that country, then I must visit. I respect it. I also worship cats like they're gods.
Yeah, I try to.
Investors moved quickly after the 2024 election. Core Civic stock jumped before President Trump was even sworn in, as Wall Street priced in tighter immigration enforcement and more detention spending. The explosion in ICE detentions may have been good for the business of companies like Core Civic, but it's come with a fair amount of scrutiny and criticism. Margot Schlenger, a University of Michigan law professor, previously served in the Department of Homeland Security in the Obama administration, overseeing civil rights and liberties of detainees.
There is a range of conditions.
Well, Obama, clearly, he's one of those commie sort of presidents, so she was working under his regime. Can't really trust her.
Some of the detention
she's a legal expert, but hey, she clearly came from one of those indoctrination law schools.
Facilities are better than others, and some of them are more stressed than others and are less good at dealing with the stress of high populations or particularly needy populations.
Why is it that the federal government essentially delegates this or contracts it out to private companies?
Congress made a decision a while back that it didn't want to set up the Department of Homeland Security to run a large system of detention and run it itself. So the Federal Bureau of Prisons has correctional officers who run facilities. ICE does not. ICE does not have the kinds of people who just day in, day out run the facilities. So that's been its general approach since the founding of the department in 2003.
Of course.
Hey, Teddy and Kimberly have met me in real life. And Bill Hicks. I met him in real life. So,
and me.
Without stroking my ego, don't you think, well, you're on the show, so clearly you have some kind of bias, but, I'm not, I'm a cool dude. I'm a chill dude. I'm not as much of an asshole as I am on the internet. The internet makes everyone a giant asshole.
It says that there are checks and balances in place to try to ensure that detainees are being treated humanely.
Really, since day one, we wanted to make
checks and balances. Trump really cares about that. Now, so him deploying all the troops in all these different states, that does go against the Constitution because he's not abiding by the protocol of the governor kind of signing off on like a request to deploy the National Guard, and they're supposed to be working in unison with one another. But also tariffs, they're supposed to go through Congress. So it's similar to any sort of trade agreement or any sort of treaty with another country, is that it's the executive branch that organizes everything, structures everything, then it's supposed to go to Congress, and they're supposed to vote on whether or not it actually sees like fruition. And Trump's just bypassing what Congress has to say. So it's illegal. He's not actually going through Congress, and he's not abiding by the Constitution. So it doesn't really seem like he cares about respecting any checks and balances.
All national standards within our facility. So American Correctional Association, which has been around since 1870, they set national standards on how facilities are designed, how big our day rooms, how big our cells, how big our the food service area, medical, maintenance, etc.
Do those apply to ongoing treatment while people are in your custody?
They do, yeah. So they'll have general standards.
Burley Kim says they didn't get a notification. Oh, that's one of the Kim clones.
I was gonna say, if you haven't noticed yet, there's quite a few. There's quite a few. It's just the Kimberly army tonight.
It's the Kimberly multiverse. They're all from different like universes.
The review based on
it's Kimberly number 12, Kimberly number 2
population. So again,
right.
We've got auditors coming in from the ACA to do a review at a facility for an ICE, and those standards have again kind of evolved over time, not just the standards from ACA, but also from our partners.
But this is important. I'm not sure everyone knows about this. There are independent auditors.
Oh, so our buddy Brian in the chat says, "Do you guys even know that every country has tariffs on the U.S.?" I wonder why. They all had tariffs on the U.S. recently.
From ACA that come in and monitor.
I mean, isn't there this thing known as, I don't know, retaliatory tariffs? Do you think that has something to do with it? Do you think they're retaliating? Like, do you think maybe Trump decided to exercise tariffs against other countries, and then they're like, fuck you, we'll do the same?
Yeah, if only there was something that could have been done differently to make that not happen.
What you're doing, apart from DHS or ICE or anyone else in the government?
Virtually all of our facilities have full-time on-site auditors and monitors. And so these
AW's back around.
Government employees, where we are required by contract to give them space in the facility where they can set up offices and have space to where they can do their
It is a name I've seen around operations. A lot.
But they got unfettered access to the facility 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
We've all seen reports in the press about the mistreatment of detainees. Knowing what you know, how do you respond to it? Is it number one, the reports are wrong, or number two, it's just not CoreCivic?
Okay, so Brian says tariffs dating back over 100 years ago, not recently. So we've already discussed that, how they're an antiquated concept. A lot of those older tariffs from like the Renaissance, that's something you see within the realm of like just legality, whether it's like a tariff, whether it's some old law. There are lots of old policies that are kind of just inconsequential. They just kind of don't affect things at all in the modern age. So they're kind of just there in name only, or they're only there on paper. And it's because whoever the officials are that are in charge of, I guess, repealing it or getting rid of it, it's just a waste of energy. It's like no one even pays attention to it. So it's like in like Britain, Parliament. There's a law where you can't wear a suit of armor in Parliament or play like blackjack in a library
The
on a
real
Tuesday.
question is, why did that rule have to exist? That's what I want to know.
Well, maybe it made sense back then, but it's like, what is it even a tariff on? And
that would be
if
the
it's-
boring answer, is that it's an
Yeah.
old rule that stayed in place through the ages.
If it's a tariff on, I don't know, powdered wigs, maybe that's why it's still in effect.
The vast majority, I'd say 99% of the stuff that we see in newspapers or speculated in online or on socials is incorrect or false or maybe not incomplete relative to information. We got in our ICE facilities like 1,000 government employees that have unfettered access to our operations. Now, having said that, and I often say this to investors, you have 14,000 employees. Not every single employee is going to make the right decision every single day. And that's the case obviously with any large organization.
There's also the question of where all these detention facilities will be located and whether they help or hurt their home communities. One of the largest for-profit sites in the nation is GEO Group's Folkston ICE Processing Center in Georgia. In June, the County Commission approved an expansion from just over 1,100 beds to nearly 3,000. County Administrator Glenn Hull helped shepherd the deal.
The process to expand the GEO facility and the contract with ICE took about 4 months. Overall, the relationship is good, not only from an operating standpoint, but from a revenue standpoint. The GEO Group and the facility contribute about $655,000 to our tax collections, which makes up about 12% of our overall income. That is significant because as we have an outmigration of jobs and industries, we need to fill the gap in rural America. This is where the rubber meets the road.
Dude, rural America, isn't that a place to be? I mean,
Yeah. We gotta replace all those. We gotta replace all those tax dollars the illegal immigrants made with people being paid to detain illegal immigrants. You know, John?
Well, all those like blue sort of like cities, look at how much crime there are in the cities. I mean, if you move to a wonderful place like this, look, there's barely any crime. I wonder why.
For Folkston, a city with a population of less than 5,000 people and few
Oh, maybe that has something to do with it.
job openings, the expansion provides both tax revenues and hiring opportunities.
The job count from the GEO facility is 632. About 551 of those are in Georgia. In Folkston specifically, 198 jobs.
There's been a long-standing debate over whether jails and prisons and the expansion of jails and prisons, and that's what these are. These are basically facilities that are like jails and prisons, whether those expansions actually help communities. I think the best evidence is that long-term it does not. But
there are lots of like small like towns in America where it's just they're so fucking broke that even the hospitals in those towns end up shutting down. And then the number one employers in those towns are their police departments or their local prison. Because literally there is no fucking work. So it's only like those two.
Town.
Yeah, it's like the only facilities or institutions available are like the bare essential sort of social institutions.
So here's a good point about what this lady just made that kind of ties into that. I mean, with a prison town, you can pretty much count on like any random number of local yokels getting fucked. You know, not everybody can go work for the prison. You know, there's going to be a lower class of society they can always prey on and keep people incarcerated in the prison system. But she just said in the short term, these ICE facilities will make a lot of money because, well, you know, there's a national interest in that. But what happens when everyone gets sorted out and deported? Well, whatever. I mean, all these people who, I mean, I guess they can, you know, ship people in from other states that get, you know, deported and then they don't have space for a little while. But, you know, it's not sustainable. That's for sure. I mean, what happens? I mean, are they going to just keep these people here indefinitely and get paid and continually keep people to watch over them? Or are these people going to, you know, get actually deported and sent to where they need to go? Or is this going to be, you know, another forever prison camp?
So one thing that's interesting, we should probably do an entire stream on this, is your sort of very fucked up, corrupt, small town politics throughout the United States, where you'll have a sheriff who runs the entire town. It's like you got the sheriff, the mayor, the judge, there's one judge, there's one mayor, there's one sheriff, one deputy, and they all know each other. And it's pretty authoritarian within that small
totally
town.
Nothing like fishy going on ever. Don't ask questions.
But when you talk about how, in these cities and stuff, there's lots of crime. Well, I also think crime is much more likely to go reported and is also much more likely to see some kind of like prosecution sort of process. unlike a lot of smaller towns where there's definitely crime taking place, but it's almost like doesn't go as investigated or as reported as you'd expect in some of the less like sort of Ozark bumfuck areas.
There's definitely some short-term influx of money.
Charlton County has been through many iterations. Back when US 1 was a vibrant corridor through here before the interstates in the early 70s, we had a mill here in Folkestone. Some time ago, that mill closed, and all of those jobs went away. When you have an economy that's based on kind of blue-collar work, and those jobs go away, so do the people, so does the tax revenue. I think it's important to understand that these serve as lifelines on ground zero. Without a detention facility, we wouldn't...
Wait, the tax revenue goes away? Well, that's great. Taxes are evil. You don't want anyone to be paying taxes. See, there you go. The town pretty much doesn't have any taxes coming in to its government. That's great. Taxes are evil.
Surviving as a county.
It's not a lot to offer here when it comes to jobs per se, and if they are, they're on a lower scale.
Despite the possible economic benefits of hosting a detention center, not everyone there is happy about having one in town. Local pastor Antoine Nixon was born and raised in Folkestone and opposed the expansion.
My mindset was, we failed again. I think.
If you hate taxes, then maybe start your own church. It's one of the best businesses if you want to engage in some tax evasion, legal tax evasion.
Our growing concern here for the citizens, especially as of late, with some of the things that our commissioners have.
Tax evasion that you don't even have to hide.
Yeah.
A prison here. There's no kids who are going to graduate who are going to say, I want to graduate and go work at the prison. I think we ought to start providing better outcomes and start looking at what's better for our children's future. When you look at our community, why is it here? Why did they choose Folkestone? You're not going to go in those maybe educated areas, people who are really standing up against things like that. You're not going to bring that into those areas. I think Folkestone sits as a prime example and a prime place, as many other places do, where you can go in and you can dangle the golden apple in front of people, and you can just make them these promises that ultimately end up being nothing. And then once they suck you dry, they move on and find other places. Like leeches. Yep. You know, once they have all they have, want to get from you, then you're left to fend for yourselves. And so I'm not happy about that.
You know, that just reminded me of something I read the other day, where it's like, you know, the old stereotype where Southerners and, you know, rural folk hate the idea of a city slicking New Yorker coming in and fucking, you know, telling them what's what.
We're not a bunch of country bumpkins that you can put the old shitty hustle on.
Well, how the fuck did a bunch of country bumpkins let Donald Trump, a New Yorker in a suit, put the fucking hustle on him? Well, that's what I want to know.
They really like to have this cultish sort of fascination with somebody like Elon Musk or Trump or his cronies like JD Vance. It's just, I thought that they really fucking hate people who, you know, come from areas or they come from a background where they need to put on a suit and tie, engage in formalcy, where you know,
they respect the wealth. It's temporarily broke millionaires who think, okay, yeah, if I just support them, I can be like them. But they don't realize they're just getting fucking wrung dry.
You know, doctors, lawyers. What about other people who are highly wealthy, highly skilled, like workers in the realm of white collar work? They seem to hate those people. And you know what? I have a feeling that like all these like sort of billionaires that they like to obsess over, I would guess that, you know what, Elon Musk or Trump, they probably would like to sit down and play golf or have drinks and have conversations with some people who have some medical degrees or law degrees. I think they'd prefer the company of people like that than your sort of rednecks who can barely finish a sentence. And that's the thing. They don't care about that fucking demographic at all.
I love the uneducated.
Yeah, well, yeah, they love...
I love their vote.
They love exploiting the uneducated.
And deportation,
because they're easy to exploit.
Yeah.
States unlawfully remains as controversial as ever, if not more so.
It blows my mind.
And although there are those who, like Reverend Nixon, think it simply can't be justified no matter what the benefit, there are also those who believe this new...
Dude, fuck you, Kimberly. I hate golf.
New business of detention can be a lifeline for their community.
What I would say is, like, let's have...
But if I did play golf, my handicap would be, like, you know, a 1. My handicap would be way better than Bernie or Obama or Trump.
Conversations with people that live in rural...
I wouldn't have to golf, like, every other weekend or, like, pretty much, I don't know, 3 times a week like Trump or Obama. I'd be able to just go on one, like, evening of golf as president, and I'd still have a better handicap than them.
America, as opposed to having academic arguments about what detention facility is and what it is not. It's one thing to have a human rights conversation. It's a completely another one to have an economic development conversation.
And then there are those who are running a legal and profitable business and trying to do it the best way they can.
I think the general view is, from a policy perspective, we've done a good job. We're a very important part of the
Hey, what's wrong with illegal business? Trump does lots of illegal shit.
solution for these jurisdictions.
He's the man.
And I think from an investor perspective, I think the risk that maybe assigned for our business in the past maybe is not as great.
In the end, there is no simple answer to the question of how the markets can price the freedom of individuals.
Okay, so what % of the town's population do you think's being represented here?
Or whether they can. But until a better solution comes along, all we can do is our best.
ICE says its agents.
Not this guy.
And a court filing shows that more than 1,000 employees at Health.
Yay! More federal workers laid off. Now,
and Human
the
Services.
CDC.
That
do you
would
think?
be funny, Bill Hicks.
Do you think the civil servants that work for the CDC that make sure that all the different drug, like the FDA and the CDC, they got to make sure that things are up to code. Certain parts of our country, make sure that people are being vaccinated, not spreading bad diseases. Maybe there's more people wearing suits and ties or lab coats and so forth that work in these particular agencies. Why do you think they want to lay off people in these agencies? I bet the average ATF employee could beat the shit out of the average CDC employee, and that's what's important.
Yeah,
They
definitely.
can beat them in fist fights.
Didn't Trump brawl with the CDC a lot towards the end of his
he
first
did it.
presidency?
No, he did it throughout his entire presidency.
Then layoff notices on Friday. Sources say some of them worked at the CDC. The filing was part of a lawsuit brought by 2 federal employee unions seeking to stop the layoffs. In a statement, an HHS spokesperson said all HHS employees who received the notices were designated non-essential by their respective divisions.
They're non-essential. Who needs to be testing all the food and drugs that we intake and everything? Who needs to be making sure that there are proper sort of protocols taking place in factories, institutions, to make sure that contagions aren't spreading, make sure that people aren't getting injured, that people aren't that there aren't the unhealthy amount of contaminants being seen in our water supply, that so to make sure we don't need to boil our fucking water to make it drinkable. Who cares? We need more toadies with guns that can break down people's doors and put people in handcuffs.
Yeah, how many of those do we fucking need before not just Trump, but before all the fucking idiots who vote for people like Trump? How many do we need before you feel safe?
Well, until you
never
have
mind the
enough
fact that they usually just hire people who act like criminals anyway.
Well, once you have enough where you tell them to arrest Congress, and you don't even need a bunch of yodeling bumfucks wearing Viking hats and stuff, you can just have all the Proud Boy, or pretty much the Proud Boy Brigade. They go in with their rifles, and there you go.
And with it, mass layoffs are now happening. The gridlock in Washington is also hurting air travel this holiday weekend. ABC's White House correspondent Karen Travers is following it all. So, Karen, military service members were said to miss paychecks this weekend.
Oh, there's Shab. I like how 2 of my co-hosts decide to leave at once and for a decent margin of time.
What is the
Kimberly and Bill were saying that I should leave too, just for the fuck of it, and I was just like, "Oh man, that is so tempting. That'd be such a dick move."
Now.
The president says he is directing Secretary Hegseth to use all available funds to make sure service members don't miss that paycheck. They were supposed to this week because the shutdown was not going to end with senators out of town through Tuesday. That paycheck was coming on October 15th. A source with the White House is telling us that what they're going to do is take research and development money that was available for the next 2 years and use that now to pay the troops. We're still waiting for details of how much money that's going to be, what this total cost of the payroll actually is. But Perry, yesterday, many federal workers only got a partial paycheck, so they're starting to feel the pain, and even that partial paycheck, that's the last one they're going to see until the government shutdown ends.
Karen Travers, thank you for that live report.
Also today, hundreds of staff members were reinstated.
Okay, let's get to the next topic. Oh, there's dirt.
I literally told you I'd be right back.
Oh, I wasn't paying attention.
Fuck you.
When we leave in Gene time, 2 minutes is like
Was
2
I gone
hours.
for an outrageous amount of time? How long was I gone?
It was
I don't
a
know,
whole
3 hours.
180 seconds. It was crazy.
You two are fired.
Blown.
Okay, it was 5 minutes. That's enough time to notice. That's fair enough. 5 minutes.
My God. Talk to the chat.
Hello, chat. How are you? Hello,
Hello,
Kimberly.
Sarah Fox, who is totally not just one of the one of Kimberly or Teddy's sock accounts.
Real person.
From Morocco to Madagascar to Nepal, members of Gen Z
Absolutely.
are taking to the streets in protest and making specific demands for social justice. In Peru, groups of young
Oh my God! Look, all these SJWs in the Western world, it's spreading.
anti-government...
We got to take the
Goddamn
internet
liberals.
away from everybody. Maybe the government was onto something in Nepal. Taking their... Well, it seems like, you know what? Gen Z, the internet, it has kind of brought the world's younger generation together. I think we need that. Fuck looking at one another like we're some other because they come from some other part of the globe. It's like, we don't need to speak the same language. We got Google Translate, and we got the internet. The boomers don't know how to use. Fuck this older generation. Like, the team sports shouldn't be your side, my side, based on borders. It needs to be your side, my side, based on you're the younger generation that's woke.
And once you
that
reach
uses the
this
internet.
age, fuck you.
We got to do a Logan's
If you're
Run.
younger than this age, fuck you too.
In Logan's Run, that was a dystopian society film. I don't know, maybe it was adapted off a book, but essentially, at the age of 30, you'd be axed. So they had like a government agency that would terminate everybody once they hit the age of 30 to deal with population control. Now, I'm 30, so I don't want to die yet. 50 seems old to me now, so 50, that's the age where everyone needs to go.
protesters have clashed with police for weeks, and just last night, lawmakers impeached the president. Here's ABC's Tom Sufi-Burridge.
From running battles on the streets of Madagascar, challenging the police and the president, to the city squares of Morocco, where almost every night crowds call on the Prime Minister there to step down. These are the Gen Z protests, spreading on social media, including gaming app Discord, sweeping across multiple continents, Africa, Asia, and South America.
Okay, I forgot about the One Piece flag.
Yeah,
Okay,
we saw that.
I'm not on their side anymore. What is it? The Nepalese. I loved what you stood for when you were fighting against your government, but then once I saw you were using some anime sort of insignia as your like sort of campaign sort of like I don't know symbol.
Yeah, sort of
two backward. Shut the fuck up, Shab. You're not even talking at all. If you
Sort
want to
of,
mock
Fuck up, Shab, you're not even talking
to
at all.
sort of speech.
That's an
you
awesome
need
sentence.
Yeah, sort of. You know, I agree. I guess, Gene.
Yeah.
Sort of. No.
Stop talking, Shab.
Shab, are you going to participate more?
I'm
more dialogue.
participating right now. People are
Yeah.
loving it. Okay, show the One Piece
Leaderless
flag
movement
some
in a fight
more.
against corruption and for social justice. In Peru,
I got social justice.
protesters taking on the authorities in recent weeks. And late last night, lawmakers impeaching the president over rising crime and accusations of corruption. Members of the Gen Z movement
Seems like they're doing better than us. Trump got charged of like over a dozen different crimes, and yet he's in office.
saying young people are being robbed of a brighter future.
We deserve to be heard by the authorities, and we deserve to have freedom of speech, and we deserve to live in better conditions.
Never mind. America's Gen Z fucking sucks. At least they were able to actually topple
Bunch of
their
little
right-leaning
bastards.
boomer government.
The demos in Nepal last month quickly spiraling out of control. The country's parliament set on fire. Abhishek says he was shot in the leg by police at a protest.
I'm 22, and I don't think this is how government should treat us.
Well, we're America. We have higher GDP, and our police officers love brutalizing their citizens, so we must be doing something right.
Grief and anger at the funerals of those shot dead. In a crackdown by authorities, more than 70 protesters were killed, and the Prime Minister of Nepal was forced to resign.
Okay, that's pretty bad.
His departure...
Never mind. I don't think police officers should be murdering dozens of people in protests. That's not good.
The Gen Z,
but
American police would beg to differ.
Well, I think the fact that they're still out there protesting, a lot of the sort of the younger gens that like to go out in American streets and protest, what percentage of them do you think would still be out there protesting if they knew there was a good chance of one of the government officials taking out a rifle and gunning down 12 people?
Not nearly as much.
Movement elsewhere. In Morocco, protests triggered after several women died whilst having routine C-sections at one hospital. It was proof.
Oh, damn. Where's Kimberly in the chat? Sarah Fox says, I'm way cooler and hotter than Kimberly.
Whoa.
I'm pretty sure that's Kimberly or Teddy.
For many of the woeful state of the country's healthcare. At a time when Morocco is spending billions of dollars on new stadiums for the 2030 Soccer World Cup.
Public hospitals are in such a bad shape that women die out of C-sections, while at the same time, the Moroccan...
Wait, Supergirl's BF says Gene is sick. How am I sick?
I've
had all my shots. I'm not sick.
Your government is building the biggest football stadium in the world. I mean, what is the sense of priorities?
Moroccan rapper Atek says her friends have been arrested simply for attending a peaceful protest.
Not even animals deserve to be treated that way. So, like, the authorities need to be held accountable first for sending innocent people to prison.
Okay, my number one criticism with the Gen Z protesters from Nepal, the anime flag. Morocco, I don't know, this looks kind of cringe.
Her friends have been arrested simply for
What's that?
Attending a peaceful protest.
Not even animals deserve.
Oh, look at Shab being all insecure. I was joking. It's like, whatever. She's an artist, so she wants to be unique and eccentric. I'm not really being judgmental.
I can splash paint on a paper.
Oh, God. Look, Shab's is insecure. It's like, this other rapper's not good. Only my rap's good.
To be treated that way. So, like, the authorities need to be held accountable first for sending innocent people.
You were insecure about Origin. That's why you didn't like his books.
Okay, why are you bringing him up?
Because it's just true. I know.
I like his books. Did he even write?
No, he had all his books on his bookshelf, and you were jealous because he was smart and you weren't. See?
Wasn't he the one that brought that up and not me?
Yeah. Yes.
When I get my books published, because I've already submitted them, and they actually have. Well, no, an editor. They're actually like, I have contact with an editor, and the editor is going through and stuff. And this is the part where it is scary. How much of my book are they going to edit? And then am I allowed to release the unedited version?
You look at the edited version, it's just a whole different book. It's a whole different story. They just said, fuck your story.
One of the fucking problems is that they will try to sit there and be like, hey, this stuff is too violent. This is too graphic. We're editing it out. And Dirt has heard part of my book.
Yeah, they're gonna get rid of half of it. Half of everything you wrote.
Do you think maybe... I don't know, some of the scenes where they're doing the experiments and stuff. Do you think they're gonna try to edit that out?
I bet it'll be in middle school libraries, John.
I don't want it to be in middle school libraries. I'm well aware it's not school appropriate.
To prison facing up to 10 years.
In high school, they'd have us read some pretty mature stuff. They didn't mind having us read like Hiroshima. People being nuked and having all their skin melt off their bodies, so maybe my book's fine with all the war crimes and human rights violations I go into in a Mad Max cyberpunk-esque sort of setting.
Some people are comparing today's protest to the Arab Spring movement in 2011, which overthrew several leaders in North Africa and the Middle East. But one activist says the demands of the Gen Z campaign are more specific.
Now it's different. The youth do not have like political demands. They have social demands. They want a better healthcare system. They want a better educational system. So they know what
look at how entitled they are.
They're talking about, but they are specific in their demands.
The calls from protesters further.
See, in America, I don't know. You don't see people bitching about wanting better healthcare, except for all those like betas and those SJWs, and they're talking about social justice. Do you think maybe they were onto something about the SJWs being the greatest threat to freedom?
In Madagascar are even more basic: running water and electricity.
We have days when we don't have water, when we don't have electricity during 12 hours.
What do you think Trump would say if they try to point to America and our Great Lakes and our huge reserves of fresh water that is kind of in scarce amounts? Do you think we're going to share? We're not going to, like, we're not going to hog all of our resources from the rest of the world?
And I think that
And isn't that, I don't know, that is very anti-capitalist. The sort of, they need to share? These landowners, they own so much land. They need to, like, distribute the land more amongst the people. Or whatever. They got a monopoly on it. Seems kind of odd. They're very inconsistent when it's they want to make the argument that, hey, because such a large percentage of all the world's resources are in that set of borders, now all of a sudden we're talking about some kind of social allocation of vital resources or resources that are vital to the global population.
2025, it's not normal to live in these conditions.
Overnight, the protests in Madagascar escalating. The UN says more than 20 people have been killed in recent weeks.
I saw another One Piece flag, John. That's so they're using it in Nepal and Madagascar.
Japan, all the world's governments need to declare a ceasefire. China, Russia, Ukraine, like Palestine and Israel need to declare a ceasefire. So, like with shut the fuck up. In China, during World War II, you had the two different sides of China that were fighting. You had the Mao regime, the communist regime, and then the more pro-democracy regime fighting each other. And then they had to declare a ceasefire. They stopped fighting for several years to combine their efforts against Japan. I think all the wars going on, Japan is infiltrating the planet with their anime. Anime is fucking cringe. And all the manga, the entire world needs to declare war on Japan. We dropped nukes on them. We did something to them, which caused them to infest the world with anime. That's what's the greatest threat to global peace is anime. So we need to do something about that. And I'm annoyed with anime. We need to wipe it off the face of this planet.
And others won't give up. The situation in Madagascar.
All the world's countries need to sign an agreement. The UN needs to get on it. 25 years in prison. If you have any
we need something like the Holocaust, but with anime.
No. Okay.
Anime contraband.
Or maybe North Korea, where you get caught with K-pop or any sort of media from South Korea or the outside world, bullet to the fucking head, or torture camp. We need to do that globally with anime.
What should the punishment be for being caught with an anime figurine, John?
Can't say it on YouTube.
And electrocution.
Can't say it on YouTube.
Or you can.
Waterboarding daily in Minecraft.
Two very different answers at the same time.
Our thanks to Tom Sufi Burridge for shedding
Both
light on
answers meant
there.
the same thing, though.
From Madagascar to
That's what I'm wondering. We're talking about how the greatest threat to world peace is anime.
Nepal to Peru. Gen Z protests erupting in pockets around the globe in recent months. Though the individual causes vary, they share a common thread. Protesters in their teens and 20s angry at the state of their countries, organizing on social media and taking to the streets.
These are the digital natives. The generation obviously is very, very comfortable organizing on social media. It's their natural medium for expressing themselves.
In Madagascar, what began as anger over water shortages and power blackouts has morphed into a national movement. At least one Madagascar protester saying they were inspired by what they saw online in Nepal.
Oh my god, see, this is why the governments need to ban the internet. Look, you got younger generations, all these digital natives that see people in other countries criticizing their government and not pandering to the regime. Maybe in the United States, you got all these young Zoomers online being all progressive and stuff and communicating online and stuff, all their woke propaganda. Maybe Trump needs to start banishing the internet. He needs to go the Nepalese and the Moroccan route or whatever.
Another student protester saying the whole population can't take it anymore. We are here because we suffer. Our family suffers. Everybody suffers.
When people see something successfully happening in another country, where people my age, so these are young people who see these protests on social media almost instantaneously, right? And they think, well, if they can, why can't
you think that lady was part of Gen Z, John?
Let's go back.
Those are her people, young people like her.
Yeah, she technically there's different models or I guess time parameters that are given for when you're one generation versus the other. It is kind of arbitrary. So if you read about it, it will be like, hey, Wernick's whatever model of social age blah hoopla dates it from this year to that year. A lot of the scales, it's either I'm a year or two too old to be a Zoomer, or a year or two too young to be a millennial.
Now,
it's like millennials are in their 50s. So,
yeah,
whatever.
maybe I'm being a little too, judgmental here. I'm just saying this lady's probably not much older than me, but
our parents' generation would be Gen X. So, or even boomers. So Gen X are starting to enter retirement age, and millennials currently make up the largest age demographic within the workforce. And millennials are still, I think, the primary age range when it comes to our current parent generation. So Gen X is currently the grandparent generation. And then Gen Alpha, they're the currently they're the oldest Gen Alpha is 14 or whatever. So they're the I guess child or not out of high school yet generation.
They think, well, if they can, why can't we?
Despite the president of Madagascar dissolving the government Monday, demonstrators continue demanding his resignation. At least 22 people have been killed and more than 100 injured, according to the UN. In Morocco, protests also turning deadly, authorities saying 2 people were killed in clashes Wednesday. As the country's youth accuse leaders of prioritizing funds for the 2030 World Cup instead of needs like schools and healthcare. Last month,
hey, priorities.
Demonstrators in Nepal against corruption, nepotism, and a nationwide ban on social media, setting fire to the parliament building. A Gen Z representative saying,
wait, I don't know. Why was it wrong for the Proud Boys to do it, but it's okay for these woke Zoomers to do it?
Damn right. They're trying to suppress white people.
Well, I think it's also who is on the right side of history? Sometimes it's just, is this person being arrested because they murdered their wife? Or is this person being arrested because they're black and they're refusing to move to the back of the bus out of protest? So when are they burning down the Capitol because the government is some fascist regime? And when are they trying to capture the government because they're mad that the sort of fascist sycophant or they're a bunch of sycophants to some right-wing fascist, and that's why they want to take over the Capitol.
we have unanimously recommended the interim prime minister to form the functioning government. Popping up in protests around the world, a form of the Jolly Roger flag, originally from the best-selling Japanese.
Oh, come on.
Piece.
What's that? Oh, more One Piece?
They're gonna call it a form of the Jolly Roger.
Huh. Well, I know Jolly Roger or whatever. That's
it is.
I know. Is that the thing in One Piece? Because I know One Piece is about pirates.
Yeah, but I mean, just don't call it the Jolly Roger. Just say it's a flag from a fucking anime. It ain't no Jolly Roger. That's a One Piece flag, dude. If they're flying actual Jolly Rogers, I might go, damn, that's some shit. Oh, I see that. And I go,
So, One Piece was on Cartoon Network when I was younger. It was one of the two Nami shows, and I thought it was kind of retarded. Like all the other anime. It's just, hey, let's talk to each other for 80 episodes straight before anything actually happens.
The flag now a symbol of Gen Z defiance. From France.
I'm sorry to offend any One Piece or anime fans in the chat. There are some there's some anime I like. I like that Grave of the Fireflies anime. That discussed important
He means
issues
everything he's saying.
Philippines, Indonesia, Peru, Argentina, and even in Madagascar.
Look at it, John. It's pervasive.
What? Yeah. Now and then, here and there. Shit like that, Dirt. That's an anime I enjoy. It's like a mini series.
What is it?
Now and then, here and there.
Oh, yeah, I think you talked about that. I think you showed me that. Yeah.
Yeah, we watched it.
Yeah.
Youth movements pop up in different corners of the world. Governments might need to rethink how they respond to.
What a dork.
Oh, who invited this guy?
Dork alert.
There we go.
Basic premise of One Piece is basically fuck the government, so I support it. Well, fuck you, Two Guns, trying to make excuses for them using One Piece. There's so many other stories about fuck the. What about Les Mis? It's about fuck
Gene
the
is going to
government.
abandon all of his political principles because anime
Because-
fans have
yes.
adopted it.
Yeah, same.
Like I said,
Why I left the left.
Okay, in the same way, he said the Moroccan government was allocating funds to something like the World Cup. I don't know. I think anime is definitely something that is more worthy of allocating funds to abolishing.
Generation, the demands change.
In Madagascar, protesters suspended their demonstrations in the capital for 24 hours.
But I'm sorry. Go to those stores where they got all the manga and they play all the board games and Magic Gathering. They fucking smell. And those people are from a different planet. This is where, when it comes to aliens, I'm about banning the fucking aliens. They are not human beings. They are some other entity wearing human skin. You can tell by the fucking stench, and you can tell by just how they interact with others. There's something fucking wrong with those people.
Over concerns of the health and safety of those involved, but the rallies continued throughout the rest of the country.
People, please don't clip what I'm saying out of context.
For us, Valerie, we thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories.
Sorry,
on the
I
NBC
forgot
News
to
app.
say the thing. Someone clip that. Somebody clip that.
There's been a series of Gen Z protests around the world. In Indonesia, in Nepal, in the Philippines, in Madagascar, and Kenya. And the shared symbol has kind of popped up in all of them. A pirate flag with a skull wearing a straw.
I had a good conversation with this dude on chess.com from Indonesia. Now, at first he was kind of mean. He was like, fuck America. And then he like mentioned free Palestine. And then I told him that, like, I agree with you. I don't like what Israel's doing in Palestine. And then he ended up sending me like a link to his like Reddit or whatever. And we just went back and forth in direct messages on Reddit. And he didn't know that like half of Americans don't agree with what's going on in Israel.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of propaganda places like that. That I mean, same like again, not everyone in Israel agrees with what their government is doing.
Yeah,
that shit doesn't get talked about.
One Piece flag, and it comes from this Japanese anime. It's become a banner of resistance for these young people, resistance against inequality, against...
Okay, I did not think that there would be so much fucking talk about anime on this stream.
This is
corruption.
Too much.
See, anime is infiltrating the world's governments. Or it's at least infiltrating the world's politics.
Been in Nepal recently for a couple of weeks reporting on the story. Do these protests feel like they have something in common? And what is that?
While the individual political situations in each of these countries and the immediate cause of these protests is different, there are a few things that are tying these countries together. One, these are protests that are run by young people, and they're kind of leaderless. You know, there's no one charismatic leader, but it's sort of organically fueled by memes and by TikTok and Discord. And the thing that is really drawing a lot of these people together is they're upset about endemic corruption, which they feel is holding them back. And they're inspiring each other from society to society, from country to country to go.
Why is corruption so common in all the world's governments? I don't know.
I
do you
mean,
think...
oh, go ahead.
Well, one thing a lot of people fail to really understand is the same reason why we need government is the same reason why we need proper governance of government. There's a reason why checks and balances are so crucial. And I don't know, it seems like once checks and balances start to go away, corruption seems to really creep in and really starts to fester and then spread and consume any ounce of diplomacy. So, do you think Trump's abiding by the checks and balances by enforcing all these like tariffs and sanctions and stuff without going through Congress and allowing Congress to approve it, or and deploying the National Guard and not abiding by the 10th Amendment? Do you think that leads into the realm of fascism, totalitarianism? when just one person or one small group of people control everything within a government.
In protest.
I'm gonna have to do something real quick.
For instance, this accidental revolution, which was from
regardless of,
and also this feeling of wanting to combat
hang on, pause
Russia,
it for a second.
then
regardless of like what form of government they have, there's always going to be people who will usually wealthy people, but sometimes it's organizations too that are made up of people that aren't all just aristocrats, but that people who will spend a lot of their money and use their power to push propaganda onto people to make them feel like those checks and balances are actually hurting them somehow, when really it could only be there to prevent people from evading their taxes or lobbying the government.
Well, here's what I think a lot of it
That's
is.
just nakedly just allowed now in America.
I think people who kind of just want to worship one sort of politician and treat them like they're an idol, and they just want that regime to have all the final say. They like that because it's very simple. It's like things need to be simpler for them. It's almost like they don't like nuance, complexity. They don't like understanding all these other like dimensions and dynamics of politics where there's bureaucracy and things need to be reviewed and assessed before they're pushed forward. They kind of like it where there is just one person who is the government, and that's the president. That allows you to think in a very sort of linear, very like simple manner. So I don't know. Do you think? I think that's because it's the simple-minded that kind of support that are easily manipulated, that support corrupt regimes. And a lot of times when you look at some kind of government overhaul that completely dismantles any semblance of democracy, that's why it's usually a bunch of, sheep, lemmings that are behind that particular regime. So do you think that's what it is with all the Trump darts? They're a bit single-minded. They like things to be simple.
And I agree. And I think even as the chickens are coming home to roost and the economy crashes and everyone's life gets harder, it's a sunk cost fallacy where people are too afraid they got swindled by the slick talking man in a suit from New York who sold them a fucking boat of dreams and ran away with their fucking money and their.
They need to be on the winning side.
Exactly.
Win. It's almost like that's also associated with being a retard. Winning's more important than the actual truth.
It's not even actually winning that matters to them. It's as long as the people that they feel like they're in group with, like their little in group, whatever narrative is going around, I'm just gonna go with it. And there's always a reason why we're winning and everybody else is losing. Just it's a lot. I think it's a lot simpler than we make it because we try to make sense of their stupidity, but it really is like it could be any one of the like that simple list of reasons. It's their ego, or they're just poorly educated, or they grew up in a stupid family and they never, getting older just didn't have the effect of realizing that your parents were fucking stupid or something like that. I don't know.
Well,
the nuance is really in which specific thing it makes them that stupid.
Well, I also think that when it comes to that kind of behavioral science, where you have the sort of team sports, a lot of it is they're not really able to see each person as an individual. It's just, it's when you discuss, like with Gaza and Palestine, they're just one entity. They all voted Hamas into office. Well, they attacked them. They attacked us. And they aren't able to see things outside of just one entity. And then in the same way they like to treat the other side like they're a Borg, They all do this. It's also they like to act as if all the accomplishments of their side somehow are like trickle down to them and they deserve some kind of credit because they're part of the same hive mind. And they'll do that with race. So when it comes to like the sort of KKK, like, yeah, well, our race, like look at all the stuff white people did in the past. Look at all these white people. It's
yeah,
like,
I didn't do a single
race.
fucking one of these things, but white people did them, so I'm taking credit, bitch.
Or they'll talk about how great America is, and then they'll point to things that may be worth bragging about when it comes to the United States, and it's just, so were you the person, the pioneer behind all those, like, innovative policies, or... like, did you write the fucking Constitution? It's, no. Like, were you involved in World War II or all those wars where they like to be like, yeah, America wins lots of wars? It's just, were you some general or admiral or something in any of those wars? Were you one of the pilots that, like, fought in one of those, like, really, serious battles? Nope. But, hey, they happen to live in the same country that was the nation that I guess won those battles and some generations back. So somehow that's them to some extent. So it's my team, I win.
And then Madagascar, and then in Morocco. Then
That shit happens with football all the time. You'll have like some like fat loser that hasn't like done any form of exercise in years. They're talking about how, like, my team won, we did this, we did that, and it's like, you didn't do shit, you just watched.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, Made, Dallas, sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. They said all of Western civilization is white people. I don't think it's all white people. I do think there's a lot of pioneers from the Western world who aren't white. White culture, I think white culture is kind of vague. Really depends on what country you're in and what part of specific countries you're in. And I think in many areas, I kind of don't like that term white culture. Accomplished with the labor of your ancestors who did it for your benefit. I think with any society, just the entire planet, it's like we're all here because eventually some caveman or some group of hunter and gatherers decided, hey, let's reside here and farm and start working on this thing known as agriculture and architecture and so forth, and not the benefit of the third world. I do agree with that last one. That a lot of our ancestors who were white, who engaged in some colonialism and a lot of advancements to make colonialism easier, they did not necessarily do it to benefit the third worlders. They definitely did to exploit them and to take advantage of them.
I just want to say, John, you butchered that person's name. It is Heimdall's daughter.
Okay. Well, I apologize.
Uniform, right? Some of the most.
Did you put in some like?
No, I literally. It's like some Norse shit. Heimdall's.
You're just bad at reading, Jane. Learn how to read.
Indonesia still has the same president in power. The protests in the Philippines, which followed those in Nepal, got a lot of people out on the streets, but the same leader is in power. Madagascar.
Well, I would say throughout ancient times and the Middle Ages and much of the Renaissance that it was predominantly or pretty much entirely white. But in modern history, I think there's been plenty of people who have lived in Europe and the United States who are not white that are responsible for a lot of very notable advancements. So I don't think that it's true in the last couple hundred years that it's entirely white.
And onward and onward. So Nepal is so far in the minority in that there actually was an overthrow of a government. And as exciting as it was for the young people that they suddenly had a voice, the revolution also came with a lot of violence. Though the Gen Z protesters say it was not they who were doing the burning.
Do you think that the overthrow in Nepal has kind of put other governments on edge?
Even more than the governments being scared. I think what it's done is that it has galvanized and united young people across the world. We saw that with the Arab Spring, where one group of protests leads to another, leads to another, leads to another. And I think we're at that kind of catalytic moment. But it's now turbocharged, right? These protest memes, like the Jolly Roger flag, move quickly, but it also makes discontent
I don't like that flag.
all that bigger
What flag?
and more tragic.
Now, the youth is putting governments on a corruption war. Gen Z protesters have taken to the streets in several countries across the globe. 3 countries are currently at boiling point due to an anti-corruption
I'll
movement
say
driven by
this.
youngsters.
What's that?
Yeah, not to go like total libtard cuck or whatever, but I don't know where Heimdall's daughter. I don't know where Heimdall's daughter is from, but I'll say this personally for me as a person who lives in the South of the United States of America, in a pretty rural area. I mean,
You're
there's
such a hick.
It's generally a diverse area, and I'll say my life has been enriched by making friends with people of all different kinds of cultures, be it Hispanic, Asian, or Black people too. I've been welcomed in all kinds of homes, and people have been very kind, and I'd say my life has been enriched by being able to enjoy that kind of diversity and not having any kind of prejudice towards those people, and having just learning we're all fucking human. I mean, dude, like again, as a kid, I made no reservations. I made friends with a lot of people, so there's a lot. Go okay, well, fuck it, we'll go hang out at this dude's house. I met a lot of different kinds of people, and it was, like I say, I would say my life was enriched by that. And I don't get it. Maybe the thing is with all these what he said that made me say this is he said in modern history we have flooded the West with non-whites, and it has only made things worse. More crime, less unity, less prosperity, less community. And all I can say is I enjoyed a lot of community by a lot of welcoming people, all because I engaged with them without any sort of prejudice. Because, well,
And what
guess
country are they from?
If you see a person who doesn't look like you and you turn your nose up at them, yeah, they're not going to treat you very fucking
They're from
kind.
the other side. There's
Yeah.
a notable difference. So there's a notable sort of group or category you can put them in compared to your group. And then my group's better because it's my group. They're the other group.
Morocco, Madagascar, and Peru. In Madagascar, protesters are demanding the resignation of the country's president, Andre Raulina.
Now, speaking of race, here's a little bit of trivia. So Madagascar, a large percentage of its genealogy is Polynesian. So they have sort of a notable mixture between humans that migrated from earlier humans that migrated from Africa, but there was also a large amount of Polynesians, where once humans migrated out of Africa and then migrated throughout the Middle East, they either went through the Indus Valley or migrated around the through Siberia and stuff until they got to Southeast Asia. Then they built some ships and started, sailing to all the Polynesian countries. They have a lot of Polynesian ancestry. So just think of that, how, earlier humans that went on that, sort of 100,000-something year migration process, they migrated out of Africa and then went all the way around to get back to Africa.
Calls for sweeping reforms come amid growing dissent and outcry over failure of electricity and water supplies.
What we are demanding is the resignation of the president because we no longer agree with his policies, especially the suppression. We don't like it at all. The forces are no longer working to protect the population, but to frighten it, and we are not afraid at all. Moreover, oppression is not a solution.
Now, the demand has been raised after Raulina sacked the Prime Minister and the entire government.
Oh, Kimberly wants me to lecture about Madagascar. Well, they were a French colony. And they are part of, the African Frank nations. And, we can get into some neo-colonialism with France. France has supported lots of coups. I don't know about Madagascar, but I'm guessing that. And I think France is Madagascar's biggest trading partner. And I think 50% of their population speaks French, and the other 50% speak a combination of other native languages, fall outside of their major metropolitan areas.
In response to the demonstrations, which have since turned chaotic and deadly, the students are joining too, calling for a complete overhaul of the system.
If you're talking about Zionism and a Jewish state, France and Britain were originally considering giving them Madagascar. How do you think that would have turned out?
Perfectly.
Well, they would have carved out half Madagascar and forced half of their residents to relocate, just like they did with Palestine. And I don't know, do you think there'd be a similar war going on where there are these enclaves being like shelled in excess?
I think that this movement is the way to change the system. We need to rearrange things because it's this system.
Now, are they doing this because they saw other Gen Zers doing this on the internet? Do you think people have just too much internet these days?
Makes it easier for power to be monopolized by a certain group of people who only care about their own well-being.
There is one thing to consider, though.
On the fourth day of protest.
We all have our own problems, country to country, and the Gen Z kids from different countries. I know they're not kids, but these Gen Z kids from different countries seeing each other protest and going, "Yeah, I like that. I think I'm gonna go do that too." That is saying something that, despite having unique problems, but seeing that as a solution and going, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to hit the streets and say, fuck my government too.
See, instead of creating different groups based on race or nationality, we need to create the groups of the digital native Zoomers and the boomer government. They look at all the other Zoomers and they're like, they hate their government too. We need to use the internet to create our internet state. Let's face it, Gen Z, we don't go outside anymore. Who goes outside when you got the internet? We need to create our internet state and dethrone all the boomers that don't know how to use their damn internet. Go ahead, Shab.
That guy in the chat said, "Yeah, I'm a race realist." Is that a typo? Did you mean to put real racist? What he meant to put?
They're fucking retarded. Let them chill in the chat and let our don't ban them, but just let our mods argue with them. They can argue
bully them for
them.
bully them for being a retard and a loser.
According to a human rights body in the country, authorities have arrested more than 200 protesters in the capital city of Rabat so far.
Yeah, and stop grooming your own bot accounts, guys.
Oh, and the police. Nicholas. Fuck the police. It seems like that's another thing.
Stop grooming the police.
Well, that's another thing that a lot of the Zoomers seem to hate as well. Fuck the boomer government and fuck all the cops that like to brutalize the people.
Reforms in the sectors of public health and education. The latter triggered involvement from Gen Z demonstrators, while it is the death of 8 pregnant women in hospitals which snowballed into public anger, pouring out onto the streets.
Oh, now Peru's also jumping on the bandwagon.
Over the weekend, Peru's capital witnessed unrest too. 19 people have been injured in anti-government protests. Thousands are out on the streets against growing accusations of corruption and extortion by the government. Heavy police presence triggered a standoff between protesters and the authorities.
Oh, Lightning Sparrow and Supergirl's BF talking about that shitty DreamWorks movie. I don't know. I think being a race realist, that's one thing, but do you think maybe they should be timed out for their Madagascar references?
Yeah, that's where we draw the line.
They've had their salaries raised so they can stand there and do nothing. Here they all gather bravely and stand united, but when it comes to
I want to say this.
They're never.
Because people like to throw statistics out there, and like I said, this goes into the broader issue and why it's a systemic thing. Statistics be as they are, and again, I'm not going to argue with that. Like I said personally, if you stick your nose up at a person because they look differently than you, there's no fucking wonder why they don't treat you so kindly. And not to mention, like, that is a systemic issue where for no good fucking reason you're arguing race realism in our chat. Where
they're an Aryan.
Yeah.
God.
It's pathetic. So it's people like you who will not give people who don't look like you a fucking chance that forces people into poverty. And you'll find that it's not really race that's the main issue with crime and shit like that. It's a poverty issue, not a race issue when you really get down to it. At least here in America, as far as I understand it. But
well, I'm wondering what's their backgrounds. And
they're Aryan, John.
Well,
they're Aryan.
What do they do for a living?
I wonder if they're American,
how many
because I know
accolades-
Nazis love to take Norse shit like Heimdall's daughter. Are you someone's daughter? Are you a woman, Heimdall's daughter, or what are? I don't care.
Well,
I don't really
I'm
care.
wondering
But
what are
it's
their
just annoying.
accolades? Like, have they won like any Nobel prizes? Have they like published any books or like theses of their own? I mean, I have a feeling that if you look at their resume, it's not really that impressive.
What I'm
But
saying
hey,
is
they get to be part of the Aryan race or whatever, so that's something that they can be proud of.
TEI Art Cobain, yeah. Take a look at black violent crime statistics. Are you telling me that it's because of racist white people? In a grand sense, yes. Yeah, because
No,
that's
he's
what I'm saying.
trying
If
to
you're
argue-
oppressed, and that's what you say, it's not like, and the majority of, if you're going to talk black crime, violent black people committing crimes, it's a lot of black on black crime. And it's not really them lashing out against the white man. It's them infighting because they're like any animal are fighting over resources. And I don't say that as a racial thing. We're all fucking animals, but you know what I'm saying? It's an environmental issue. Not
It's also it's the same thing
any
with-
human being provided the same opportunities that you were, Heimdall's daughter, would probably turn out fucking similarly to you.
Well, it's also the
Probably
same
get
thing with
laid
any
more than you,
other
though.
race in America. Most violent crimes are interracial. So it's something that you see with all races in the country.
Well, also speaking of statistics, so they said take a look at black violent crime statistics. Did you know, person in the chat, Heimels, whatever, did you know that black people are significantly more likely to be wrongfully convicted than white people? Let's see, what I'm reading here is with one report finding that they are 7 times more likely to be wrongly convicted of a
Fake
serious
news.
crime overall, and about 7.5 times more likely in murder cases. So, do you think that statistic has any sort of bearing on what you were looking at? The
Shav,
statistics you're
here's
talking
the
about?
thing. It came from a source. That source could be wrong. Therefore, it is wrong. Because it doesn't tell me what I want to hear.
A lot of that source being the police making those arrests in the first place.
Okay, and I do agree with Supergirl's BF here. She says stop feeding the troll. So I do
Sorry,
think
Bill
we
Hicks.
should get back
I'll
on-
stop feeding.
Are they a
them.
troll?
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Which is
Are they
infuriating.
stop
troll,
feeding
or
the
are they
troll
just
and they'll
a
eventually
racist?
get a job.
What's that?
Are they a troll or are they a racist? I don't. If they
Well,
believe what they're
Bill Hicks
saying,
is both.
Stop giving them too much attention. We've already refuted their points, and
To Peru increased after President Dina Boluarte's government passed a law on the 5th of September, which mandates contribution from young people towards private pension funds. The law comes at a time when Peruvians are scrambling with job insecurity.
I do want to see his response to what I said, though.
No, you don't. You're not going to get a good one. You're going to get LOL.
LOL, you dumb.
Hey, LOL, my wife's boyfriend is laughing at you right now.
okay, let's deadliest train in America.
Investigation by the Miami
Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Oh my god. Look, that person parked right there was asking for it, right, John?
So I do know that when it comes to most roads that cross with like train tracks, less than a fourth of them actually have the barriers. You know, the automatic barriers, train coming. So that is a notable problem. And here, this is where American infrastructure has a lot of problems, because trains, more advanced trains, they're a lot faster than a lot of the other social infrastructure that surrounds them. So it's kind of hard where you got to walk a decent amount of like miles and everything to get to an area that's safe to cross these tracks. And a lot of them, they're so fast where if you're just on the track, like you're not going to see it coming. You're not going to hear it coming. And there are lots of areas where kids are forced to walk across the tracks because they should have bridges built in certain areas, or there should be a greater number of crosswalks that are built across different auxiliary lanes in certain suburban communities that make it easier for them to commute to like whatever the location is without the quickest path being across some kind of like dangerous sort of train track. But hey, the Academy of Engineers did give U.S. infrastructure a grade of D+. But what do I know about this?
Hit and killed by the high-speed Brightline passenger train that runs between Orlando and Miami.
Wasn't there this other person we had on stream once that claimed that, that there isn't this problem with U.S. infrastructure and people can just move to the cities for public transport? Okay.
Inside Edition special guest correspondent Brooke Baldwin takes a closer look.
It may be the most treacherous train in the nation. Why? Records show this high-speed passenger train, which can reach 125 miles per hour, has killed someone every 13 days on average.
Trouble on the tracks when a car...
Okay, so are we going to put this train on trial? Hold it accountable.
Train collide.
Dude, what if it's, there's a lot of self-driven trains now? Pretty easy. A lot easier to program compared to cars and other vehicles. So it seems to be more two-dimensional as opposed to like three-dimensional and so forth with planes, so forth. But do you think if there is AI, maybe it's got more of a nefarious sort of objective, or it actually has an objective? There's AI that's already blackmailing some of their like workers, programmers. And we don't have AGI, like generalized like artificial intelligence yet. So currently it's still not as smart as people, but it's smart enough to be like, I don't want to be shut off, so I will leak your emails to your coworkers if you try to shut me off. Do you think maybe trains with AI might be like, fuck these humans, I'm going to increase my speed to murder them? What if the first AI to be put on trial is the bullet train?
Whoa.
A collision involving a car and a train has workers in Pompano Beach involved in a complicated rescue.
This is the most recent disaster when a grandmother drove through the gates. Her car was obliterated. It happened on the Brightline passenger route, which runs between Orlando and Miami.
It's being called the deadliest train in America, and for good reason. More than 180 people have reportedly been struck and killed by the Brightline high-speed train since it started in 2017.
The scenes I've seen have been pretty extreme.
The train becomes self-aware. It just starts... It goes on endlessly, and oh my god, it's solar powered, so it can power itself indefinitely. It's like, how are we going to deal with this train?
By the way, Kimberly, did you hear that? The deadliest train in America.
Brown was once a conductor for Brightline. He says he still struggles with the fact that in his 6 years he operated for Brightline, his trains struck and killed 16 people.
In 6 years, I've had 16 fatalities.
He says more complete fencing...
Those AI were not programmed to do that. There are cases where they've done that to try to test, like, sort of procedures, workarounds to try to avoid them doing that, but there are also cases where they weren't programmed to do that, and they did it regardless.
Around the tracks could prevent further tragedies from happening.
Where this fits in.
And there was somebody else in the chat last stream when we were talking about AI, and they mentioned, like, well, all they need to do is program AI not to do that. It's like, not that simple. I don't think they get the concept of AI when their attitude is like, hey, you just program it not to do things. The whole point of AI is it can learn things on its own.
There's not another fence for over 20 miles. There just needs to be more fencing in more congested areas.
These grieving family members all say their loved ones were struck and killed by a Brightline train while walking on the tracks and never realized the high-speed train was coming right at them. Maria Furtado says her niece Joanne...
So, this makes me think of the X-Files. So there was an X-Files episode, it was in the first season, and it was about like some AI that went haywire. And it was some AI program that was sort of embedded into this like office complex. and it became self-aware and started killing people. And most of it was like through the elevator. It would make the elevator malfunction, but it pretty much was, they were depicting what was akin to, I guess, like a smart office, where, you know, there's an AI where it has the doors lock and unlock all automatically. It's just, it was a sentient killing smart office.
Pina was killed.
Killing smart office.
Okay. I think she killed all the people, not the train.
By a Brightline train when she entered an unfenced portion of the tracks.
Wow, John, this is just like Trubisky's podcast, True Crime, where you see the victim of a crime and you're like, they probably did it.
Oh, yeah, it's totally not a joke.
No, yeah, they probably did it, John.
Crossing.
What? Hey, sometimes it's okay to judge.
You can't just say, hey, this dead bitch looks crazy. You can't just say that, John.
I mean, you can.
Nothing. Brightline says they have posted signs every 400 feet.
Dude, like Michael Jackson, they just died. God, were you one of those people?
Yeah, that's fucked up.
To be fair, what I just said was probably worse than you said, so.
Dude, the day Joan Rivers died, the first thing I did was walk into work. Like, when I walked into work, the first thing I did was start telling people Joan Rivers jokes that day.
You bastard. Cancels it on.
To cross.
That's
Angela
almost
Duncan
as
Smith
bad
says
as
her son
making
Kevin
a
was also
tweet
killed by a
making fun
Brightline
of Charlie Kirk or something. I would never do that.
Oh, I totally didn't do a bunch of those.
Okay, back on topic.
Train while walking along an unfenced portion of the track.
We just don't understand it. We don't understand it.
Dan Johansson says his brother Randy, who was deaf, was struck by an oncoming Brightline train while crossing at a crosswalk while the gates were down. What does action look like?
How much do you want to bet if we look at the comments, people are just going to be like, well, it's their fault for being stupid and walking on the tracks.
Well, to be fair, they said the gates were down.
Well, there aren't fences built in many of these areas. And like I said, a lot of America is very car-centric. So when it comes to pedestrians, it's just pedestrians are forced to cross certain roads where there aren't crosswalks for miles and miles. We're to the point where there are many busy roads where there aren't sidewalks. They're in suburban areas, but yet being able to walk from one business or one shopping center to the next requires you to pretty much walk on the edge of the road because civilian or pedestrian sort of infrastructure isn't given a priority. And they are trying to change that. There's a big movement to try to build more bike lanes and high occupancy lanes, or just get rid of certain lanes in general. Because apparently, like, one thing that's kind of interesting is that you'd think if there were more lanes on like the freeway, that would cut back on congestion, but it actually makes congestion worse. Because you look at, I guess, behavioral science, something engineers aren't really taught about, and apparently it's like more lanes equal people being more likely to actually take the freeway or use it, which equates to more cars, which equates to more congestion. And also, people are more likely to try to change lanes and try to speed past people, which results in more accidents. And when people are constantly changing lanes more often than they should, that results in congestion. Because if one car stops, all the cars behind them need to stop.
Action looks like securing the crossings, making sure elevating the crossings where it's appropriate.
Hogan and DeSalvo attorney Todd Baker represents the families.
They can put in fencing. They can put in active message signs. You can make it safe enough. You can make it mistake-proof. And if you make it mistake-proof, no one's dying.
What's your message?
And the other thing is, people don't know how fucking fast that is, where it's just, you can look both ways. And that's how, like, it used to be with, like, older trains, is that you could rely on the look both ways before you cross, and a fourth, or it's less than a fourth of all train tracks or intersections that cross, like, train tracks actually have those guardrails or those automatic barriers that come down to prevent people from crossing. So what you need to rely on is just stopping your car and looking both ways. And it's so fucking fast that even if you do that, you still won't be able to see it coming. But hey, they're idiots because they shouldn't have been on the track.
To Brightline. They say it's not their fault.
Take responsibility.
Yes. Protect the lives of the people that live around your track. Don't they matter?
Brightline has not been found at fault for any of the deaths and says its trains are safe. The company tells us it follows all state and federal rail guidelines and is continuing to implement additional safety improvements. The company also says, although tragic, all the fatal train strikes were preventable and the result of illegal, deliberate, and oftentimes reckless behavior by people putting themselves in harm's way.
Imagine your sweet 3-year-old boy walks into the house carrying a live grenade.
He's like, Mommy, Daddy, look what I found.
Wow.
Jim Murray spoke to shocked
Dude, score.
parents Zane and Amanda Gilbert.
A free grenade.
How does that make you?
Well, this is America, but a lot of other developed countries where America really helps out being the world police. It's like we leave lots of undetonated mines and explosives, ballistics laying around. Kids find them a lot, and then those kids come back missing a limb, or they don't come back at all. So remember the butterfly mines? That here's where Russia can be called out and be really fucked up, where they scatter the butterfly mines all over the place. Kids come across them, they look kind of like toys, they pick them up, and it's designed to sort of incapacitate any sort of soldier, because, you know, if they step on it, even if the explosion's fairly small, if it simply just breaks their leg, they don't even lose their limb permanently, now that soldier's out of commission. And in times of war, like, the less soldiers that can do their part, the more of a disadvantage they're at. But these butterfly mines, kids come across them, pick them up, it goes boom, kid loses its limb.
Feel his parents.
Hooray.
The family had just moved into a new house outside Seattle. They were in the garage, and their son was playing on the front lawn when he found protruding from the grass what he thought was a toy like this.
I looked at it and I was like, oh, it looks
He thought it was a toy.
like a toy novelty type grenade.
But as soon as she held it,
Okay, kids need to be taught to distinguish between toy grenades and actual live grenades. Come on.
There we go.
Priorities, education system.
suspected the rusted grenade was real. She called the cops.
My 3-year-old son just brought me a grenade out of my yard.
Okay, don't touch it anymore.
When the sheriff got there, he instantly took 3 steps backwards and said, ma'am, please put that down. That's a live grenade.
And your son...
Do you think that 911 operator knew what they were doing? I don't know.
All right, so pull the metal thing out of it.
Yeah. Fine. Here's their son, Damon, today. It could have ended in disaster.
Dude, do you think that 3-year-old should have known better?
2 weeks ago, we told you how these grieving parents lost their 12-year-old son, Asher Hurley, when a grenade suddenly went off in his bedroom.
Wait, what the fuck? Okay, I gotta rewind.
How did the grenade get into his bedroom?
It could have ended in disaster. 2 weeks ago, we told you how these grieving parents lost their 12-year-old son, Asher Hurley, when a grenade suddenly went off in his bedroom.
I knew he was dying.
Okay, so I know that we got a gun problem in America. There's too much guns in circulation.
There's a grenade problem too.
There's a grenade problem. I don't know. Do you think... I said I'm fairly moderate when it comes to gun regulations. Do you think maybe frag grenades shouldn't be legal?
Sounded like a libtard there, Gene.
Well, they said it's a grenade. Was it an actual grenade, or was it like somebody made a pipe bomb?
Don't be a libtard.
I'll say this. I have a friend personally I know in real life who drives around with a decommissioned grenade in his glove box just because he thinks it's funny when he gets pulled over, and he has had guns pulled on him twice by police officers.
I thought you were gonna say he has the grenade in his bag or whatever. So if he ever gets caught with something, or if somebody's ever trying to escort him out of the store, he can just pull it out and be like, "Oh, I got it in Minecraft." No,
he literally carries it because he thinks it's funny when cops pull guns on him. And I told him he needs to stop. You're gonna have more guns pulled on you. He's like, "Yeah, I know."
That's why.
He sounds like a guy that's got things figured out.
Yeah,
my man. Ash was playing with what was thought to be an inactive dummy grenade, but it was real. It had been gifted to his father, a World War II history buff. Explosive experts say old grenades can be unstable and extremely dangerous. As for this family who narrowly escaped disaster,
It could have ended so much worse.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Grenades are dangerous. Do your homework before, I don't know, you just have frag grenades like lingering around your house with children.
in your front yard. You know, they grow up like crabgrass. You know, you just might find a grenade one day.
It's like, I know, like, when it comes to gun deaths or gun accidents, a lot of it is kids getting a hold of guns and then accidentally shooting somebody. It's like a 2-year-old or something. Then it's like, now we got to worry about random frag grenades. What if the kid just runs up like, look, mommy, look what I found, and then it just blows up him and the parents? Okay, that's fucked up. I'm sorry.
My revenge is just getting started, so don't be quick to call me cruel to my father, Elon Musk. I changed the name he gave me, Xavier, to Vivian, and dropped the Musk surname.
Oh my god.
What's the matter, John?
The internet is doing. It's indoctrinating people.
Yeah, now this
When
person,
he heard,
they've trans their
lost his
gender,
temper.
they've turned against their father.
So, last week we covered this story, and this story was trying to actually, it was like anti sort of trans. Look at, like, now 3% of teenagers identify as trans. Like 10, 20 years ago, it was something around 1%. And the thing is, teenagers, the numbers are usually inflated because a lot of teens just like to experiment, and a lot of teens will say that they're trans when they're not. So the fact that it's only gone up by a couple percentage points, I don't think there is this epidemic of people just faking being trans. And Elon Musk wants people to have like 1 million kids, so maybe when you have 40 fucking kids, you should be shocked if one of them's trans.
And immediately,
And I will say
decided to
this
cut me
too,
off.
as far as principled as I, try to be right now, when I was like in, middle and high school and shit, I get surveys pretty often for the bumfuck kind of town we were in, and I don't know, where all these went, but I trolled all of them. It's like, generally, again, I went to a pretty safe school, but it's like, how unsafe do you feel at school on a scale of 1 to 10? And I'm like, oh, fucking 10.
Every fucking day.
One thing is,
I practically go to Columbine.
Police officers are in schools, and that's not really making schools safer. So police brutality, you can find so many stories of cops. There was a case where there was a 18-year-old. So he was a senior, he was 18, and he didn't want to do some sort of exercise warm-up in the gym class. And it's just like, whatever, give him a 0 for the day. He's legally an adult. He doesn't even need to be in school. He can legally do whatever he wants at that point. So the cop arrested him because he wouldn't engage in the activity. And it's just, and that's a scenario where the cop didn't get violent. Then there's teachers that abuse other people's kids in the classrooms. So in the same way, once everyone had an HD camera in their pocket, and we started to see that cops don't really abide by protocol, and a lot of them are just thugs in uniform, a lot of teachers don't mind abusing other people's kids. It's like, there's one story where it was a 5-year-old, where the teacher walked up and just kneed the 5-year-old in the back. And then you, in the comments, had teachers defending that teacher.
Yeah.
That the 5-year-old was probably a little shit. And then you got bullying. Like, we covered that story of that one girl who killed herself because it looks like a prison. There were literally 4 kids ganging up on her and beating the shit out of her, kicking her face in. And 2 of those kids were, they were boys. And you had people claiming that, like, oh, that one girl, she must have been a little shit that brought on herself. So it's like, and then you got school shootings. But hey, clearly when it comes to kid safety and well-being, it's like all the trans propaganda. Clearly that's the biggest threat to our children. Not all that other stuff I talked about.
Out of his $500 billion estate plans. I knew my first step of revenge was already done. He even naively thought he could.
And then when it comes to the, like, let trans people use the bathroom of their choosing, would you even fucking know that their like birth, like their biological sex was the opposite sex? Would you even know that? It's just in the vast majority of cases, you can't even fucking tell.
Control me with money. In fact, I took legal steps to sever ties with him and completely distance.
And there's I gotta find it. There's this old viral video of a cop arresting this like lesbian woman She was in the women's restroom, and she was just kind of like I guess like a tomboy, and he arrested her because he misgendered her, and she was like the sex of her birth sex.
Myself from his wealth. Accepting his money would have been the biggest humiliation for me. Even if he tried to block me on X, it wouldn't work. I've built my own brand across different social media platforms. This month, I also walked the runway at New York Fashion Week for the first time as a model. I can proudly say that I'm financially independent. You have to admit, my social media skills far surpass his. I have no team. I just casually snap photos and post them. Yet even like this, I still managed to get so much attention. Of course, there are plenty of people criticizing and mocking me, but
when the cannabis, whatever. Like, dude, just that.
Wait, somebody, Don't Geek said, bro.
Enough of your Zionism,
Gene. Peanut head, stop crying. You already erased history for 400 years. Enough. Your Zionism. Are they talking to the dude in the chat? I don't know, because we don't really support what Israel's doing and stuff. So if you're talking about us, we definitely are. We got to put some disclaimer just so people know that we're left leaning.
I mean, literally, the second hashtag on the stream is Free Palestine, so I don't know how much clearer you can be.
Well, she's probably arguing with the one racist dude in the chat.
But what I wanted to say is,
yeah,
Elon Musk's daughter definitely inherited her father's ego.
Why do you say that?
Did you not hear what she said? She's like, I'm so amazing. All I do is take pictures, and I'm so big on the internet. It's like, would you be that big if you weren't Elon Musk's trans daughter?
Motherfuckers.
I just want to say it. Like, no, I'm telling you, that was probably the most. The most self-flating speech I've heard all fucking month.
She could have just been closeted about it and lied to her. Like, I do believe that she
It wasn't all about that. She's just bragging about how much better she is than her dad.
How old is she? If she's like a teen, then it makes sense. Who isn't a fucking narcissist when they're a teenager?
Well, you're not a teen, Gene.
Go fuck yourself. Here, we gotta go back to see. Look up Google her age now.
Now Gene's being ageist about it.
Well, it's the truth. It's normal for people in adolescence, even people in their young 20s, like 20, 21-year-old, like adults still have that sort of teen edge to them.
She's 21 or 20.
There you go.
Oh,
pieces of shit.
We're not allowed to criticize her. She's old enough to join the army and drink alcohol, but she can't be criticized.
Yeah, she's definitely not rich with a massive ego like her father. Definitely not.
Okay, maybe there's an affluenza thing there, but it's normal for people who are like college-age adults to kind of be a bit on the like cringy sort of side
this is
when
really
it comes to their
hitting somewhere personal for you, Jane. Are you?
What do you mean hitting
you feel
somewhere
like,
personal?
Feel like we're talking about you, kind of a bit.
No, I feel like you guys probably don't go out much, and you don't know through the perspective of somebody who's older. You know, like I have younger relatives who are like 20, and they're still like, I don't know, they're little shits in the same way kids in high school are little shits.
Are you calling me a little shit for thinking Elon Musk's daughter kind of sounded like a megalomaniac in the last?
I think that people in that age range usually are still at their peak when it comes to neuroticism, because I think everyone's at their most neurotic when they're in their late teens and early 20s.
Okay, well, tell us when we can criticize her, Gene. We'll keep at
Well, I
back
think
to
the brain
you.
doesn't stop developing until around the age of 25, and I think
You know what? We need to hold Gene to this standard. If he tries to criticize anybody we watch their videos, we're gonna make sure.
Wait. Are they 21? How old are they?
Are they in their early 20s?
No. Shut the fuck up. When we watch videos where there are younger YouTubers, I usually do cut them some slack if they're in their early 20s.
But you've never criticized.
You guys are usually the ones where you're far more
not just in their early 20s.
I want
if
to
they're
point
young,
out something
just
here.
in general.
I just want to point out something. Hold on. Imagine on the screen comes a fat woman in her early 20s or a fat dude in his early 20s. What's Gene gonna say about that?
Well, that's a horse of a different color.
Yeah, it's okay for me to make fun of people for being obese if they're in their early 20s, but you can't make fun of them for being an egomaniac. You can't make fun of them.
I care about people's health.
Oh, well, yeah, mental health isn't a problem.
Wait, Shab's audio sounds really bad now.
Do I need to fix it?
Yeah.
Kind of fixed there.
Is it okay?
Yeah, now it sounds better.
Sorry.
It's just a plan.
Jake Van Wingerden, the president of Sunmet Growers in Earlville, Maryland, says his love for greenhouses was inherited from his grandfather, who immigrated from Holland after World War II.
And got started growing plants and vegetables in containers in greenhouses.
John, why don't you break into the Maryland weed industry? It's a booming business.
Because there's other businesses I'm investing in.
Children, and my father was one of them, obviously.
Get on
And
ground
he
floor.
started a greenhouse.
Build that early.
Help his sons and daughters.
We need
get
to
started
open
in
up
the
one of
industry as
these,
well.
While Van
Gene.
Wingerden also grows traditional plants.
I'm just gonna buy out property so I can tax the business owners there.
Like poinsettias in a separate business he owns. Sunmet grows a plant that is legal.
At least you're not
and
trying to be a landlord.
That
is
essentially what a
the
landlord
It's
is.
different. It's different when it's a business, right, John?
Oh.
Stigma.
No, because they're still.
I mean, but at least that's like a person within
marijuana.
within means who's got like some capital to start a business.
Yeah.
If you're just like fucking being a slumlord, that's different.
I don't know, somewhere that seems like might be fun.
What we've built here is a
All right.
very
Look, you
high-tech
probably make a lot of
greenhouse.
money.
We're heating on cold days, cooling on hot days, dehumidifying all the time. And then we also have a lot of air movement through here. So because we're regulated and we're tested and we want to...
So, see, this is why Shab was actually willing to come to DC. If this wasn't available, then he wouldn't be willing to vacation here.
It would have been another West
is
Coast
consumed
meetup.
by ingesting it. We cannot spray and we do not spray harmful pesticides or fungicides on these plants.
Van Wingerden says he grows between 40 and 50,000 marijuana plants in his Cecil County greenhouses at any one time. He was proud of
Oh,
it.
somebody said 4 drunks laugh out loud. No, it's
Get off the
no.
booze, Gene.
Yeah.
I
Get off the
haven't
booze.
drank since
we got
the election night stream. That was the last time I drank.
Zidane's a semi-stoner. Shab's a full-on stoner. Same thing with Dirt. Dirt and Shab are stoners. I would say
I'm a full-on stoner too.
okay. Dirt and Shab can be called drunks. I don't do drugs. I'm clean.
Yeah.
So I have more discipline unlike these guys.
I don't do drugs.
The plants.
All the drugs
Take care of
Gene
myself.
takes are prescribed.
Yes,
Yeah.
I get high.
Mine are
There's plenty of
stimulants, so they're
scenarios in
good.
which I stop though.
I run and I take care of myself. I'm productive. I drink my veggie smoothies every morning. So I ain't no drunk.
What a hero.
Final growth stage, the development of the bud.
For processing, what we do is we'll take that bud and those leaves and
I
we'll
don't do any drugs.
extract the
only
oil,
do crack.
remove it from the plant material, and then that oil is vape pens, and then we also will then emulsify that oil, and that goes into gummies and our seltzers and our baked goods.
Van Wingerden has invested over $100 million through a combination of private seed money, issued company equity, and limited banking opportunities for marijuana growers to build his on-site processing facility that involves joint rolling machines, over 250 staffers, and an on-site kitchen to make gummies, chocolates, and vape pens. What are some of the challenges that you're facing as a grower?
Dude, look, so we got people shaming us for doing drugs, and then we got people shaming us for not doing drugs. I'm
Not doing enough
so
drugs.
Supergirl's BF says, "Is it best friend or boyfriend?" I keep being like,
It's got to be boyfriend. They're not.
Okay.
It's got to be.
well, anyway, they keep throwing jabs away. I don't know. So people obsessed with runners high. That's lame.
Here in Maryland, in your industry.
Yes.
Our number one challenge right now is the prevalence of intoxicating hemp. Intoxicating hemp is the exact same product that we produce. But unfortunately, the provision in the law that defined what was intoxicating and non-intoxicating wasn't well written. And with that, it created a loophole that an industry has built up around. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's all over the place. We see it in all the smoke shops in Maryland. You can now buy these products online. They can ship directly to you.
So Supergirl's BF. Do you think that I don't know if I was able to beat Dirt or Shabisky in a foot race or in some arm wrestling, that makes me lamer than them?
Are we talking
'Cause
speed
they're
or endurance?
Tossing up their talking about speed and endurance.
I
can
mean,
go
I don't know,
longer,
dude.
and I can run faster than you.
I mean, in a short sprint, I can haul ass, John. Believe it or not. I rode a bike for many years, John. I got around. My legs are thick and it ain't all fucking
1 mile.
knickknacks in there.
I've outrun the
Mile?
cops
Oh
a
yeah,
couple
you
of
fucking
times in
you kick
Minecraft,
my
of
ass in a
course.
mile.
1 mile's nothing.
Yeah, I go. I smoke a lot too, John. So yeah, you got.
Yeah, see, fucking lame. All you're smoking, tar lung.
All right, good morning.
Yeah, you got tarred.
And illegal marijuana production and sales have caught the attention of some in the federal government, with Congress holding a Homeland Security.
Not
hearing
how
on
it's
topic
pronounced,
just
Chad.
1 week.
We've been over this.
Yeah, no, tarred lung.
Yes, exactly. Cocaine is not a drug.
Weeks ago.
Today, the Oversight Investigations
okay.
Accountability Committee is holding this hearing on how the
There we
supplement
go.
as
As long
to
as they
I
say
don't
it in
do
the chat.
I don't do cocaine.
We asked Van Wingerton how a raised 12% tax rate on legal weed products in Maryland could be driving the sales into the illegal market.
I told you guys, it's espresso, not cocaine.
Know that the increase in the cannabis tax doesn't directly apply to you. However, it does apply to the end user, and it could affect the demand for your product. I mean, what's your take?
Yeah, I mean,
That's exactly, Kimberly. Weed takes away all your ambition.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I don't do those kind of drugs, or I don't do drugs, because I have ambition. I like to get shit done.
Yo, dude,
Yeah,
you almost said the right thing and then you corrected yourself.
max alcohol, and then they bumped it to 12. I think they should stick right there. They shouldn't go higher than that. If we keep raising a tax rate to make it punitive, what it does is it creates, an incentive for people to not buy it at the regulated dispensary and through the regulated industry. That
You think this guy smokes weed?
No, he's got an ambition, John. He's a business owner.
Got ambition.
Yeah.
He's got to actually produce and manage the production, so he can't be doing what you guys do.
Yep.
Championed and
Does it
created
for us.
and makes them
So we
think about
can
maybe
get
going
high.
back to the street dealer, which is what the whole intent of going recreational was, is to drive away the criminality of this.
Maryland data shows that in the first year that recreational weed use and sales were legalized, in July 2023, adult use sales jumped more than 36% compared to July 2024 numbers. This growth rate fell to 11% in July 2025. When looking at the entire Maryland marijuana industry, weed sales for all products, including medical cannabis, increased by more than 9% in August 2024 compared to 2023. Since the initial legalization peak, the industry in Maryland has flatlined to only a 0.64% growth rate. Do you worry about the resurgence of the illegal street dealer and them being, frankly, a competitor to you?
So my job is to supply the marketplace, mine and all the other growers is.
I have
Get a
more
street
ambition,
dealers will
I'm
just
more
buy from him.
productive. I don't do drugs like the dealers, so I know how to hire the toadies and deal with the logistics in order to get them to break the legs of the competition.
We want to create.
He does like the Gus
I mean,
Fring, or
the
what is
real
it, the
answer is that
Snells?
street dealers would be buying from him.
Well, the
'Cause that's how
Snells
it
from
works in
the
Oregon for a
Ozark.
long time.
He gets them to put bags over their heads and bring them to him to be like, look, you're not going to do this anymore. And then he takes out the pliers to have their toenails like ripped off, like from the scene from the Ozark.
Create a safe, affordable product that people want to buy, because I don't think the average person wants to go into a back street and do an illegal dealer. They'd rather walk into a well-lit, secure location where they can have choices and they can smell and read the test results. But if it's double the cost, then they probably are going to choose.
See, if your brain's not cooked, you know how to do business. That's why you don't do drugs. That's why you don't do drugs.
That's a sober man right there.
Yeah. You want to be sober to get other people high on drugs to make money. Okay, so I think we're going to get to our last story before we call it a night. And Shab is AFK again.
That's all right. He'll be back.
Taliban and Pakistani forces have traded fire across the Afghan border, with Taliban officials saying that
Oh, yeah.
3 Pakistani military outposts.
I forgot about this one. It's been a long night of news. This happened today.
So, do you think America should try to de-escalate things? Because it seems like there's a lot of stability in this region. Like Pakistan, Afghanistan, much of the Middle East. Do you think maybe they need a third party to come in with a much stronger military, a much greater military budget to add some stability? To
Why
negate
not?
the Yeah.
The Taliban said the attack represents a retaliation for what it calls a violation of its sovereignty on Thursday, with airstrikes on the capital, Kabul. Pakistan has long accused Afghanistan of harboring armed groups that carry out attacks inside its territory. Islamabad also said its forces destroyed Taliban outposts. Afghanistan's foreign minister said on Friday relations with his country must go through proper diplomatic channels.
No foreign military has ever been accepted by the people of Afghanistan.
Now it's Kabul. That's Afghanistan's capital. And then isn't it Islamabad? Isn't that Pakistan's capital?
And they still don't accept it. This is our decision that Afghanistan is a free and independent country. And after this, it will remain free and independent. If countries want to have relations with us, they can come to the diplomatic mission. But we don't accept them in military uniform.
Kamal Haider joins us live now from Islamabad with the latest on this developing story. Kamal, what is actually going on here?
Well, first of all, it's important to note that there's a little bit of a background here.
Or is it Lahore? Maybe that's Pakistan's capital. It's either Islamabad or Lahore.
And that is the fact that Pakistan had repeatedly, as you mentioned, told the Afghan side that they must restrain and prevent these cross-border attacks because under the Doha Agreement, the Afghan Taliban had assured that their soil would not be used in attacks on any country. So,
Bill Hicks says we shouldn't have left Afghanistan when we did. I hope you're trolling.
We should have moved it.
We should have left it a lot sooner, eh, Bill Hicks?
No, we should have left here and went there. We could have all just moved in. Would have been great.
I don't know. Maybe it's just Russia seems to be Wagner. They've got a lot of stuff done, helping like the junta bomb like civilian towns and stuff in the outskirts of their cities. So maybe we should just send in what is it, Blackwater? Maybe just send them in there to add some peace and stability.
Let's do that again.
They're like more on mercenary bands. They're cheaper.
Importantly, the Pakistanis told the Afghans that they must do something on several occasions. However, they did not get a firm reply. And in the past week, Pakistan lost almost 24 of its security forces personnel, including officers, in attacks carried out near the Afghan border. Pakistan had said that it would retaliate and take matters into its own hand. After those reports of air incursions into Afghan airspace, the Taliban said that they were launching a reprisal attack, after which the Pakistanis retaliated.
Okay, so Pakistan likes to butt heads with India. And I don't think India and Pakistan have things figured out when it comes to war. Because it seems like when like Russia, Ukraine go to war, Israel, Gaza go to war, when we go to war with other countries, it seems to last a really long time. It's like you get years of footage. Whenever Pakistan and India go to war, it always ends within like a few weeks. So what, do you think they don't really have things figured out?
So I've been doing this show with you guys for a couple years now, and I wonder how many times Pakistan and India have briefly gone to war with each other that we've covered just in that time.
Well, I don't know. Do you think Pakistan will end things quickly here? The Taliban? And what I think's funny is we've left, since we've left Afghanistan, the Taliban has been engaging in this massive ground war with ISIS. So it's just, we don't even have to worry about fighting them. We can just have ISIS and the Taliban eliminate each other.
With heavy artillery fire as well. They're claiming that they have taken over 19 posts from the Afghans on that border area. And also the fact that this comes at a time when the Afghan Foreign Minister Muttaqi is in Delhi, which Pakistan views with suspicion because of its deteriorating relationship with India. Pakistan continues to maintain that these TTP fighters are directly getting support from the Indian intelligence.
Kamal.
Do you think that's true, or do you think because they just hate India? It's like, we blame you! Russia, there was an ISIS terrorist attack on a Russian airport, and they blamed Ukraine. And then when they were detaining them, they were all clearly Middle Eastern.
The Taliban and Pakistan have had quite close ties, though, in the past.
Indeed, it is alarming because over the past...
Pakistan, that was Osama bin Laden. They did pretty much give him asylum.
This new government took over. We're talking about Taliban 1.0, and this is Taliban 2.0. It has changed a lot. There are restrictions inside Afghanistan on women's education, women's rights, and of course the fact that Afghanistan, according to Pakistan, has not been able to live up to its promises of preventing their territory being used as sanctuaries for carrying out attacks against Pakistan. So that relationship has now soured.
Okay, so do you think if we... Pakistan's got some nukes. They got a decent military. I mean, they're up there. Do you think maybe if they go and try to invade Afghanistan, they do better? Because
they'll certainly try harder.
Well, America was there for like 10 years, and they weren't able to really stabilize the region. Then before America in the 90s, It's like the Soviets had their try, or their go around, and or not the the 80s, and we gave weapons and training to this group, and they were able to fight off the Soviets. So do you think when we got involved giving weapons and training to the rebels that were fighting the Soviets, I think maybe that added some stability? Or it just created the Taliban?
No, it helped.
And then, or no, wasn't that? It was Al Qaeda, and then Taliban. I think Pakistan was responsible, because I know that all of like the younger generations, they all fled to settlements that Pakistan built for them on the borders, but they were pretty much indoctrination centers. So it's kind of ironic that Pakistan kind of created the Taliban to some extent.
Pakistan says that
I don't know. And then before the Soviets tried to go in and take over Afghanistan, and they spent a decent amount of time there. Britain. You had the Anglo-Afghan Wars when Britain was the big global superpower in the 19th century, and a little bit like I think in the early 20th century they also tried to go in, and they attempted 3 times, and they failed 3 times to annex Afghanistan. I don't know. What do you think they're doing wrong? Why is no one able to take over Afghanistan?
Does not take kindly to this new growing nexus between New Delhi and Kabul, and of course Pakistan says that it will.
No one wants to answer my question.
I mean, in our case, it's because it's for similar reasons to why we technically lost in Vietnam. It's not that we gave it our all and we got our asses kicked by a superior military. It's more just that we weren't really, we didn't have good reasons to be there in the first place. So of course it's going to be a back and forth struggle.
Well, the reason was
how much we invest into that war to begin with.
Well, the reason was more international politics, because when we went in, they all fled into, the mountains, the outskirts. And the problem there is it's just throughout much of human history, if you colonize, and that's the thing, you can't colonize them. That goes against international law. And if America decided to turn it into a colony, then it's like, well, wait a second. If you're allowed to colonize a place claiming that you're doing it to help them and stabilize the region, why can't we do it? So it's like that would have caused a cascade effect, another grab for all the power sort of regions. So or Russia, China, all of them are like, hey, why can't we have Ukraine? Why can't we have Taiwan? But I do think if you look at the colonial age, or even America with Manifested Destiny and the indigenous population, it's just, okay, they don't have to look at that country's government and actually accept them as their government. They can live in their villages, in the mainland or inland or near the coast, whichever area isn't viewed as that sort of lucrative by the ruling party at that point. But the problem is what happens when you do want to set up a town near this river for a fur trade, or because you want to set up a town here because it's close to a mine with a bunch of valuable sort of resources. Well, you tell them to relocate, and then if they don't relocate, you genocide them. They do some trail of tears. So that's how colonialism typically worked, is that you occupy the space, and if people don't do what you say, you completely annihilate them. And they can hide in caves and stuff, but as long as you control the region and you're able to, set up a base if you want to set up a settlement or you want to do something with a particular part of land, it's just, as long as you're able to keep them out, it's irrelevant whether or not they're residing somewhere else. The problem is that if you don't establish some kind of governance, then what happens when you leave? They just come out of hiding and they take over again. And it's also the issue of its ideology. So when you create instability in a region, or if there is instability, the biggest criminal organization in town, whether it's a cartel, whether it's a terrorist cell, they end up becoming the government. And in order to get rid of that, it's like, well, it can't be this state that just has no economy, no means of employment. It's just one big, like, desolate sort of hellhole. So what, like, America, like, would have had to have done would have been to occupy the capital, install their own provisionary government. They would have to install their own sort of constitution there, and also implement their own sort of education, and I guess try to, indoctrinate them in some way. Try to westernize the region. But the problem is that opens up sort of Pandora's box. That slippery slope where if they did that, couldn't all countries claim that, why can't we do it too?
Yeah, but you fail to consider that we are America, and therefore the rules don't apply to us. Also, we make the rules.
Well, that's the problem, though, is that in a way they were following the rules because they had bases there. It's the war on terror. We were just fighting this entity. But they weren't really capable of interfering with politics. If they started appointing their own sort of mayor, governor in the different regions, and if they started trying to enforce their own politics, which of course there's always going to be some of that to some extent, at that point they're a satellite state, they're a colony. So it's just having military bases there. It's just they would have had to stay there permanently. They would have had to be there, like, in almost indefinitely, because the problem is, are there going to be younger generations that don't contribute to the Taliban, where they don't continue to seek out and join that particular regime? And if the only place that's offering employment is the only gang in town, then it's just going to continue to happen if there's no stability in the region, and is having military bases there going to create stability?
They want to become the Amazon of Islamic terrorism, basically.
I guess, sort of.
Kind whenever provoked. This is, of course, a dangerous crisis because both countries have economic issues, both countries have a history of friendship and brotherhood, and of course friendly countries are now asking Pakistan and Afghanistan, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, even the Iranian foreign minister saying that both sides must exercise maximum restraint and try to solve this diplomatically.
Kamal, thank you very much. Kamal Haider there in Islamabad.
Don't miss out. Get the full picture.
There is no TTP center in Afghanistan. Before our success, when the Pakistani government operated in tribal areas, some tribes migrated to Afghanistan from their areas. At that time, America and its supporters were the rulers. These people, who can be called migrants, are still on the path of inheritance from the previous governments. These people can go from one country to another in the whole world, take refuge and live their lives. They are such people. With regards to the TTP question, there are no safe havens of TTP in Afghanistan. Even right to our return to Kabul, Pakistan military carried out operations in the tribal areas and they displaced a large number of people.
You want to do a meetup in Kabul?
Yeah, this guy seems nice. He has a cool accent.
Whoa. Not before we do the North Korea meetup.
You mean the Pyongyang meetup?
No.
The US military and the US support.
Wait, you know what other cities do they have outside of Pyongyang in North Korea? Maybe we gotta find...
Yeah.
We need to find...
Bold of you to assume there are other cities there.
Well, they have to have at least one other thing. Like, if Pyongyang's their New York, what's their LA?
Former government gave refuge to these refugees on Afghan soil.
The west side of Pyongyang.
Well, it's only a few U.S. cities that have a population that's above 1 million. I know Chicago's one, Phoenix, Arizona. I think Dallas, Texas, or Houston and Austin, Texas have some cities that are over 1 million. Or those are cities that are over 1 million, but I don't know. What other... So if Pyongyang's their New York, do they have any, like, Chicago's or Phoenix, like, cities? Do they have any LAs?
Wait, is the Y supposed to be silent? I've pretty much always heard Pyongyang or Pyongyang. I almost always hear Pyongyang. Is it just
who the fuck cares? All of these It's like, is it Kiev or what? Who cares?
The Pakistani nationals. They are
Fuck you for correcting somebody when they're.
See, when it comes to Kyiv, though, we know that it's Kyiv because we can actually ask people from there. North Korea, we can't ask nobody.
What about South Koreans?
Oh, good point. Ask them how it's pronounced. Just like, hey, that place that's
there
north.
Are North Korean
north of you.
defectors. There are plenty of North Korean defectors that have made their way to South Korea, and I'm sure a lot of them. I mean, yeah, there are a lot of them that have a decent online presence. We need to have.
Do we have any?
Wait.
Do we have any in the chat?
We need to get a North Korean defector on the show.
Persons from the tribal areas. And any people who have a status of refugees are allowed to live in the country of Assad. This is a tribal area. Neither the Chinese nor the British controlled it. Neither the US nor the NATO controlled it. If this area can be controlled, if peace and security are possible here, then it can be achieved through cooperation. It can be achieved through softness, understanding, and negotiations. It cannot be achieved by force. If the Pakistani side wants peace from our government in this area, then it is obvious.
So, the new Taliban 2.0, they want peace, negotiation. Are they going to let women vote and work?
Well, slow down there, buddy.
I do think currently they are the only country where women are not allowed to work at all.
That Pakistan's army is bigger than our army. It is ahead in technology. Its intelligence is also strong. So why doesn't it control itself? This battle is not happening in a blink of an eye. This battle is taking place 400, 500, 800, 1,000 kilometers inside Pakistan. So it should control itself. We have controlled our...
Okay. It's ironic. I would agree. I agree with pretty much everything he's saying here. But then I think if you talk to this dude about women's rights, or what if somebody wants to practice Hinduism?
Yeah, I bet Gene would agree with him on that too.
Well, I'm saying Hinduism or Mormonism. What if they want to practice that in Afghanistan? Is he going to be okay with it?
Afghanistan for so long. We have controlled it after 40 years of war. We have controlled it in a very short period of time.
Big Boy says, why is the intelligence always so stupid? I don't know. Maybe you can help us out here.
Why can't you control it yourself? It is not possible for these people to go 500 kilometers in one night and come back. There are hundreds of checkpoints along the way. So why don't you control it? Why don't you take care of your people? I'm still saying that the Pakistani people, the Pakistani government, and many other people don't want this war. We don't want it either. But we should also think about these checkpoints. We should also worry about them. What is the point of a war in checkpoints? Why do you put your people in trouble for someone else's happiness? Why do you sacrifice your blood? So it is not a small thing to put a barrier on a country. If it is difficult for us, then Pakistan is not our country. Iran, China, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, why don't they complain? Why don't the countries in our region complain? Why is everyone happy?
So if we interviewed this dude, Supergirl's BF, and we started talking to him about letting women work, giving them equal rights, what do you think his response would be?
You'd be totally cool about it.
Well, you know what I actually think his response would be? It would be politician word salad, where they don't directly answer it. They give some half-ass sort of non-answer response. Well, in times there's the right and wrong, and people need to find a way. And what is that way?
तो आसिम मुनीर ने तालिबान से पंगा लेकर एक बड़ी गलती कर दी है। अब तक सीधे तौर पर तालिबान
Where are the subtitles?
Keep it going.
Okay, so I guess this is the fault of the networks. You can't expect them to accommodate for every language, but YouTube, Google, don't you think YouTube should be able to have an interface where they're able to properly translate any language into any other language the person chooses?
Well, I don't know, John. Check. Click the little gear down there. Subtitles, language, Hindi, auto-generated right there. Subtitles/CC, John. Oh yeah, it's just Hindi. You could auto-translate it.
Oh. Okay, here we go.
Translate it to Chinese.
सरकार पाकिस्तान से नहीं भिड़ रही थी, लेकिन 9 अक्टूबर के तालिबान शासन ने
पाकिस्तान
के खिलाफ खुली जंग छेड़ दी है। यानी पाकिस्तान को अब दो तरफा मार पड़ेगी, तालिबान से भी और टीटीपी से भी।
What do you think they're editing here? That looks like AI generated art. News Nation. I'm not subscribed to them, and I think there's a good reason why. I don't know what their overall like ideology is, but I am going to criticize them when it comes to their editing and their production value.
I used to read the subtitles, Bryant, but then Gene called me out and was like, "Why are you doing that, Dirt? Like, people can read them. They're right there on the stream." And I'm like, "Well, some people like to listen to podcasts while they like do stuff and stuff. And then it's not like that."
I guess that's a fair point.
About time you admit you're wrong, Gene.
Yeah, I never admit I'm wrong. Right. Never mind, I'm not wrong. No, there's no reason to read them out loud.
The Taliban attacked Pakistani soldiers along the border late on 11 October. Or as we would say, October 11th.
Who shot first? Taliban said they started it.
Burrito.
Pakistan saying they started it. Sounds
They
like
said they were retaliating for airstrikes carried out by Pakistan on Kabul 2 days earlier.
Well, with India and Pakistan, I don't know. They were claiming, like, they accused Pakistan of some airstrike or artillery strike. It was one of the two. Do you think, so here, they seem to be out in the open. So, do you think Pakistan would be able to deal with this little contingent here? Some airstrikes? No?
They're too tough. Whoa, unibrow. Holy fuck, dude. I'm sorry.
Oh God,
Go
Shab.
on, Gene. Go on, Gene. I'm sorry.
Dude, I like Lemming. Lemming tells me I'm always right. We need more lemmings in the chat.
I want my own lemon. Where's my lemon?
There are, you know, everybody could use a bunch of lemmings, so it would follow them off a cliff should they. Lemmings don't even actually have an instinct to jump off a cliff, John. You know that, right?
Yeah. Well,
Disney made it up. They forced these lemmings off
it was
a cliff.
shot in New York. But there is something where it's not an instinct, but it is something where when they dive into certain like water, there's some. It's not just they'll run off any random cliff, but there is some sort of group herd mentality that is actually beneficial that they evolved to possess.
There was some official shit put out by like Disney, I believe, was the one who did it, who like tried to make it seem like every once in a while the fucking lemmings commit a mass ritual suicide and throw themselves off.
Is it suicide?
Yeah, I'm reading it and it says that they're often mistakenly believed to commit mass suicide by jumping off cliffs, a myth popularized by a deceptive Disney film that showed lemmings being pushed off a cliff.
But what's the actual event? But there is something that they do instinctively do. It's not suicidal, but what is the actual like behavior?
I'm pretty sure it is literally just misinformation spread by this fucking. I don't think there's any scientific basis to the fact that lemmings live dangerous lives, John.
Well, it's not dangerous, but there's some sort of.
Like when ants follow a fucking pheromone trail? I don't know what you're talking about, John. I mean,
Here, I'll Google it myself.
بالخصوص پاکستان لپاره که پاینده کې بیا په افغانستان په خوره ترای وکړو او دا خو د تقریبا موږ 10% زور سازمیاله دا ځل 20% د سازمیو
الحمدلله دومره خوندوره دفاع مو وکړه او دومره خوندور کار وسلو یعنی الحمدلله موږ هیڅ کله هم سره خبره د نور چا یرغل په خپل خبر باندې نه منو نو الحمدلله تر خپل وخت تر خپل توانه تر خپل طاقت پورې ان شاء الله سره جنگيږو او دا به تل جنگيږو دا یو ور نه سره خبره کوي موږ خبره باندې راکوي ان شاء الله به خامخا په دې باندې ارقام ترجمه کوو او هر رقم ته به راوړم ویني نو چې کوم امر موږ مشران وکړي په وخت
You'll rub it in. Operations of Islamists for laws are dominated by revenge. Their actions are sadistic, compensating for lack of women. By inflating the mandate, how can the disappointing information democracy be increased? Postal behavior is done together, or the benzos are given to 2 military men for the house, then DO asks when to deliver. Oh, you build it very well and solidly, sir. Ouch. And at the lower centers, it becomes Ali Datu di Visvetlivo Imato Universivni to simply hand it over. And in this way, even the suspicious pledge in Qatar becomes...
Okay, so here it is. So it has to do with swimming. So it has something to do with when they migrate from one landmass to the other, they create some kind of like makeshift sort of what is it, raft, or and some do die in the process. So it's kind of like you know how you have like the bee ball when all the Japanese honeybees dogpile the horn and they like increase their body temperature by vibrating.
That's pretty metal. I believe that.
So that's what it is. So there is something that is advantageous. So it's not like they're not committing mass suicide, but it is for some sort of migration purpose.
They die for the greater cause.
Some do, but the vast majority don't. It's something where it's kind of like how you have like certain deer, and like in Africa, they will reproduce in bulk. And when they cross rivers and stuff, it's pretty much guaranteed whenever they do, at least a couple will be eaten by a crocodile. And that's sort of like the evolutionary advantage of them having so much offspring, is that it's designed that way, or I guess not designed, but...
Okay, Gene.
Yeah, what the fuck? You is this a religious podcast now, Gene?
No, don't straw me, man.
Yeah, we're invested in the lemming thing, Bill. I like to stand up against misinformation. I'll stand up for the lemmings. Dude.
But I know the like nature video was shot in New York City. I think it was actually shot in like the Central Park. And the body of water was like the pond or the lake they have in Central Park.
In Pakistan. Afghanistan has officially extended its territorial control and increased its supervision. At the end, a traditional territory has been inhabited. For illegal activities and smuggling, the Ministry of National Defense of the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan has deployed...
Heroin. That's a big cash crop in Afghanistan. And there was this prisoner swap in Guantanamo Bay. He was known as... forget his name, probably not be able to pronounce his name correctly, but he was a member of the Taliban. He was known as like Afghanistan's Pablo Escobar. And he dealt with their like opium trade. And I'm guessing since they share a border with Pakistan and China, so there's that pension sort of panhandle, and that has a border with China, and China doesn't like how lots of opium gets it gets smuggled across there. They need to build walls. That's the solution to everything. See, like all the past administration.
Gotta build a big wall.
Yeah, clearly building walls and bombing other countries. Those are the two things that solve everything.
There we go.
Okay. In Minecraft, and I'm not being serious, in Minecraft. But Israel, they built walls, and they've exercised lots of military force. America, we're building walls.
There was never a terror attack
a lot
again.
Of other countries, so those two things clearly fix lots of problems. Or you know what? Maybe China and Pakistan should get back at them. It's like, if you're gonna smuggle heroin into our country, we'll do it 5 times the amount, and we'll also make sure there's plenty of fentanyl and PCP as well. I mean, Britain did it with China, the opium wars. Britain did a good job. It gave them a lot of advantage in that region, and they annexed Hong Kong from like China. So you know what? Maybe that's what we need to do. Saboteur, like, mass drug, like, peddling. Retaliatory heroin peddling. That's the solution. It's better than building walls or
The
dropping
CIA
bombs all over the
tried
place.
that in our poor neighborhoods already, John.
Oh.
There we go.
It's available.
Wait, so you're saying it doesn't add greater stability?
Forces and operational forces. No further details. I'll take a look. Just a moment. For this purpose, the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan's Ministry of National Defense and its forces are on alert. Do not come out. Praise be to God. The Dark Watch. And he decides in a better situation. In all of Afghanistan's geography, there is no state that determines. What are the consequences? But you're at home. You're still hitting my palm. CICM Neti PH. We take the necessary measures and do not allow anyone to create chaos or corruption in Afghanistan. All those who cause...
Anyway, I think I've added enough commentary here. How long have we been going?
12 over 3 hours, John.
Fucking long enough.
Okay.
Yeah, 3 hours.
I think we've done a good job.
Like a show to me.
People should be grateful I did a stream because I had to do 2 weddings this weekend. I had to do it for my political...
Yep, Gene married 2 different women.
Wow. That's so cool. Gene's a Mormon.
Hey.
He's already divorced both of them, by the way.
Weddings that I went to.
He's still got 8 girlfriends.
Well, no. It wasn't my wedding, but like I had to be local politician. People are very important. Comes to like industry I work in, so I couldn't say no to their wedding. I had to go just to be there.
I'm so proud of you,
And
Gene.
I ended up cutting my hair for this fucking wedding.
You cut your hair, John.
Oh, I couldn't show up with my hair in a ponytail because it's really long, and it's a so. I had to rent a fucking tux.
That's what I did at the wedding today.
Rent a fucking tux or whatever, and it's just.
So you're bald now, Gene?
No, but connections are important. So it's good to go to weddings with your colleagues and your contemporaries because that's how you build connections.
You could have
That's
rocked
how you
the
make
bun,
money.
John. You could have put it in a bun.
Yes.
You didn't have to shave it off, John. You're a coward. You should have rocked the bun if you were so afraid of your fucking privileged ass hair touching your collar.
Oh,
John.
Gene thinks he's so popular.
Yeah, fuck
Kimberly,
him, right?
Stop gaslighting me and emotionally abusing me.
Gene's like, I have such big connections and stuff.
Don't make me.
Wow, the people I know, you would be so
big connections.
You rather
Such
put
big connections.
you rather cutting your hair off, John, than putting it in a
Shab
fucking
doesn't know
bun
what it's
or a
like
ponytail, John.
to work a
My
job.
estimation of you as a man just fucking plummeted.
Shab's too used to the internet world. He's not used to the sort of I don't know, white collar world.
John,
where
if
gotta
you're
deal
really
with
that upset,
associates.
fuck your white collar world, John. If you were so fucking upset about your hair touching your white collar, you could have been a man and put it in a man bun. Instead, you took the coward's way out and sheared your fucking
you're a
hair like
bitch,
a
Gene.
goddamn sheep.
You'll do
You
anything.
you
for your...
sheared yourself like a sheep, John.
Yeah, you'll do anything for your
Oh.
connections, won't you, Gene?
Michael from Texas is like, you're not making any money, bro. God, you're right. I'm a fraud.
He's
Yeah,
just
we
my
need
mother's
money.
basement.
Yeah, here. Wait, there's a StreamLabs link. Michael,
Yeah, give
please.
us money so we can make money.
Yeah. I need money for opium. I'm desperate. I might have to go to Afghanistan to get it in Minecraft. But anyway, I'm done for the night.
Later, bitches.
All right.